Hi, everyone. How is everybody doing? We're trying a simulcast. The future is now. So you'll be seeing us multiple places. And if it's working, which I think it is, because I see check marks, then we should be all good. How is everybody? I was about to say on this and then totally blanked on what day it was. So
On this Thursday
there we
night.
go. I am here with Amanda, and we are going to be discussing one Operation Joker, which I inflicted upon Amanda to read. So
It was, it was somewhat inflicted on me, I will say. I have thoughts on this for sure. I'm glad that you suggested it though, because it's very weird. And I liked how weird it was. So there are things about it I like and things about it that I'm like, I just can't believe that this exists, honestly. When you were like, oh, there's this manga, I was like, how do you even find this?
well, the thing is, it's been around for a little bit because it was released in Japan in 2021, and
Right.
then there were unofficial translations that were available, and then the official translation came in 2023, and now it's being
Hmm.
pretty steadily released. They're up to volume 3, I believe, at this point.
How many volumes
It just
are
keeps going.
there?
It just keeps going. This is
Wow.
until we decide that Batman is an adult again. That's how long it's gonna go for.
I Very interesting. It's very interesting to think that you know, Deadpool Samurai is 2 volumes. And this we don't have an end in sight.
Well,
This
I
is like
mean,
we're going to
this
go.
is okay. So before we even get into it, of the two concepts, so this one, for people who aren't aware, this is the story where Batman is de-aged after falling into a vat of chemicals, mimicking kind of the Joker's own origin, except that he becomes a baby. And then the Joker decides that he will raise him to become Batman once more. And then when we did Deadpool Samurai, that was Deadpool on an Avengers style team in Japan.
Yes.
So it's interesting because I feel like the Deadpool one was a bit more true to the core of the base of Deadpool, whereas this feels
This
like it's veering into the Silver Age hard.
Honestly, I have theories for why this might be something that actually has more longevity and has more like just more staying power, I guess, than Deadpool Samurai. So I do have theories based on what I read here, but I just think like what a weird concept to be the one that's like, and this could go on forever.
You know what made me laugh is they recently released a Joker the World graphic novel where it was tales about the Joker from different perspectives from different countries. And the Japanese one was from this. I was,
And you're like, it's the manga.
I was like, I was
Wow.
wondering what it would be. And then I was like, wait, there's a chance that it could be, but I wasn't sure they were going to go there. And then they did.
Wow. I kind of love it though. I was also just even talking to Duck about like kind of what
Mhm.
happens in it. So I finished reading it today. I read it
Mhm.
today and I was explaining to him even some of the cameos that are in this and I
Mhm.
was like, "Yes, like this person's in it." He's like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, it's weird, but like it fits like really well." Like I actually really love all the cameos in this because they actually are cemented in a lot of
Mhm.
ways and are more rooted in what's going on than Deadpool Samurai, which is a little bit more like showboaty in what it does. Well, actually, way more showboaty in what it does, I'm going to say,
No,
objectively.
this commits. So for this, we do not have the digital version. We both have physical copies. So I'll be doing some exciting holding things up to the camera action. But thankfully, because this is a manga, all the images are pretty flat, so you can get a good look at what they look at. His teeth. They're just going
Man.
all in for it. They actually go pretty hard with the art on some of these, juxtaposing the grotesque Joker panels with the cute baby Batman panel.
Oh my gosh, Batman is such a cute baby. It's like, it's just
Yeah,
how.
here he is, and people were asking if the Joker has to change a diaper, and yes, he does. That's the first opening chapters. He has to go and get diapers for the
Yep.
Dark Knight, and he buys the wrong size because On top of this being the Joker raising baby Batman, it's also like complaints about parenting and like the systems in place for helping you raise your child at points. It has a lot to say about daycare. It has lots of thoughts and opinions about daycare in this and the accessibility thereof. Because ultimately, I would argue that not too much happens in this first volume. It's very much being carried forward on concept more so than on action.
Yes, I would agree with this.
Ira, thank you very much. You're back.
Thank
you made
you.
it. You made it for the stream. Oh, you must have been
Ira was here earlier because I was doing Mortal Kombat. Yeah, I was doing a Mortal Kombat stream. I actually like had such a like it was such a quick turnaround. So that's why we're late, by the way, in case anyone was wondering. It was definitely not Sasha. Sasha's always on time. If we're ever late and you're wondering, like, I wonder what happened, the answer is probably always going to be me. I'm always late, but it's because I finished that stream, ate food, did a back end for my Agatha All Along episode 3 review. And then what else did I do? And then I did something else. And then I came back in for this. So, I set up this. And then that's when I came on and I was like, shoot, I have to like set up this stream.
No, it's all good because you were like, my camera's not working and all of these things. I was like, it's honestly fine. I was going through the interview that I edited today. I'm at the double check phase where I'm like, make sure all the transitions like are aligned and that everybody's volume is synchronized and all of that stuff. So
you've been crushing it with interviews lately. I'm like loving just hearing all of your discussions. You're so good at interviewing people.
Thank you. Honestly, I appreciate that because I feel like I'm awful at it. So.
No, you're crushing it. You're crushing it. And I used to have to do that as like, I used to do that in board games. I used to work for Renegade Games. And I used to interview people once a month, I think it was. We would do a show and I'd interview like board game designers and artists and content creators. And it was actually, I also felt like, I was like, oh man, I hope I'm like good at this. And sometimes they would give me questions. Then we got to a place where like I was coming up with questions. And I was just like, man, it's so fun to like, it's actually so fun to interview people though. It's just so interesting.
My favorite part is that usually in an interview when it's going well, there's a point where you click. And you can feel the click happen, you know, and it's just like, oh, we're vibing. The vibe is happening.
And then you're just kind of having a conversation, but it's like a conversation about something that you're just like, I'm just really interested in this. And I just get to like pick your brain about whatever. Like that's the best, I think. But yeah, I definitely feel that. I feel like I think you click with a lot of people because clearly you're a fan. I mean, you're so much of a fan that you're like, I've read the Joker manga where Joker raises baby Batman, you know?
Speaking, you should say who
hardcore.
It's by Satoshi Miyagawa and Keisuke Gotou. So if you need to look it up to find it and you're interested in it. Which is, here's the part where
honestly, I think everyone will be after this stream.
What was interesting to me about this is if you can see the design that they've gone with for the Joker, it's very much, it's very Dark Knight, like Nolan's Dark Knight kind of look for him. And there are tons of references to movies in here, like movie versions of the Joker.
Yes.
Specifically Nolan's and the recent like Phillips like Joker one.
The Joker stares. That was okay.
I love the Joker stares.
That was like the moment when I was just like, oh my goodness. And it happens so early too, doesn't it? Is it in the second?
It happens like you see the stairs really early and then again at the end. Like
yes.
It features in the next one too. Like they love coming back to
they went full. Oh yeah, okay. So it was on this page with the face
where he's stretching up the stairs.
Yeah, when I saw these stairs, I literally was just like, wait a minute, this is a Joker stairs. There's no way and then I was like, unless I'm reading into it. But then I was like, no, that's 100%. And then when we got to the end of this, they go full Joker stairs, everyone.
Yes,
and it's glorious, honestly.
So I have to ask, what do you think of the characterization of the Joker in this?
I like it. It feels kind of classic. It doesn't feel, but it also feels I mean, like you said, where this feels like it's kind of a combination of like the comics with like some of the movie stuff,
Mhm.
it definitely feels like they took, I want to say, more like 80s Joker and like combined it with like Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix.
I found
And
that that's very much where the
sprinkling some
philosophy.
zaniness.
I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that's
the
where the
philosophy of the
philosophy came
Joker.
from, because there's a lot of, like, I need to be against justice. And if you're not here, how can I properly be against justice? For you are the avatar of justice.
You represent justice, and I can't prove that justice is messed up if you're not here to like help me prove my point. Like I can't prove anything without you, Batman. I need you.
Ira, thank you very much. It is very appreciated. It goes
Aw.
towards things like more volumes.
More volumes of Joker. So also, what do you think about this title for it? So Joker, One Operation Joker. Is that the full title?
Yeah, it's one Operation Joker. So it's because he's got like one job. This
Right.
is his one mission, is to raise baby Batman back to a. Was the baby okay? Did you get the impression the baby was aging more rapidly than normal, or was it just that time was passing in a bit of an odd fashion?
I don't know because it seems like it's one day. Is it one day? Because they have the times.
It was more than a day because Johnny Frost, his henchman, shows up
6 p.m. on the
Like,
one night. Yeah.
Because remember it says I haven't seen you in weeks. Like when Harley shows up.
He
And
does say
she's
that.
like, I
Oh,
haven't-
and then Bruce Wayne has been missing for a month.
Yes, Bruce Wayne has been missing for a month.
But Bat Baby by the end of this is also crawling.
And has teeth, and can roll over. So
And is making sounds. Like
yes.
not full dada, but we're like nearing that, I would say.
So I think the funniest thing of this that works for me is that the Joker knows that he needs to be a good influence to make sure that Batman grows up to understand justice. So he's trying to curb his villainous impulses in front of the baby constantly.
Yes, and I just love that Joker is like a better parental figure than Harley is in this. Because I think that's true. And I think that if you know that, if you're writing that, then you understand those characters better than. So I don't think a lot of people would agree with this, but I just think Harley gets this idea of, I mean, and she does care about people and stuff like that, but she's not very responsible.
Mm-hmm.
And she's. People sometimes write her as like almost having like I've seen her written, and granted a lot of this stuff is in Elseworld stuff, but as like almost having like a motherly inclination sometimes, and I'm just like, I really don't think Harley has that.
No, I appreciated this depiction, and what I found interesting about it too was that it continues the same thing that Suicide Squad Isekai did, at least the episodes that I've seen, because I'm still not done. I'll get to it. I'm getting
Neither
to
am I. Neither
But
am I.
is that her and Joker have this really like good relationship? Like
Yeah.
they're a proper like couple. He's more bothered by the fact that in fact he's bothered that she's so wild. Like he's going on with her here like, oh no, like where's the one where
Oh
she's in
no,
the
my
kitchen?
wild girlfriend where like I love her, but like
Yeah,
she's
like-
just too crazy for this baby.
Like here she is in the
I'm
kitchen
nervous.
and they do this kind of like booty shot and it's like she's raring to go like usual and he's just like, oh my god, I don't have time.
It's time for this. I gotta get her out of here. She's distracting me from my one operation, raising this bat baby. Yeah, I think also just it is a good relationship that they have. And even the relationship with Johnny Frost in this, like they really nail that. Where Johnny's like willing to do anything for the Joker, but also acknowledges that the Joker is like super messed up and the hold he has on him is super messed up.
Yes.
And the Joker is just like, look, you're like way below me, but like I'll allow you.
But also I'll take all of your parenting advice that
I'll
you're
allow you to give me all the parenting advice. Yeah. My favorite is when he keeps the holder.
Yes.
And there's that little page in between where he's like, look, I wanted a black baby holder for Batman because it's Batman. It's got to be dark. But Johnny offered me this one as a hand-me-down. And I just couldn't say no. I thought it was rude, you know? I got to accept it.
Because that's one of the criteria that when the Joker's looking for a daycare is that he wants it to be like dark because it needs to match Batman's color scheme. And Johnny's like,
Yeah.
you're not going to find an all black daycare.
Johnny's like, that doesn't exist, even in Gotham. Yeah, they go to it's like a very, like, it's literally like a white building, and they specify it's like a white daycare. Joker's like, I don't like this. But then also the fact that he can't get into a daycare is like a whole ongoing plot point.
I'd say that's the biggest, like, hurdle. That is the conflict that we have for this issue, is that he can't get into a daycare. And the struggle of bureaucracy is really what they're dealing with.
Oh my goodness. Also, Daniel, shout out to you for the 11 months. Thank you so much. Daniel says, closing in on a year read, milestone ahead. Ooh. Man, I can't believe it's going to be a year. Thank you for being a member for almost a full year.
That's awesome.
I got to make more members content for you lovely folks. I really do appreciate it. It's because it's funny.
I just stepped on you. We were just talking before this about how we step on each other. But
please, nope, go for it.
Speaking of members things, I've relaunched the comic book club. So if you're a member on Casually Comics, you can go vote for the book. We're doing a spooky book this month. So far, I'm not surprised what is winning. But if you want to go and see like what to vote for and what we're going to talk about, our choices are Something is Killing the Children, Volume 1, Batman Red Rain, and Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, the first one.
Nice. So, all good choices.
It's a decision that people need to make. So,
I know what I would pick out of those three.
What would you pick?
Oh, Something is Killing the Children.
That's what's currently winning. So
I've been meaning to read it as well. And so I'm like, maybe I should join, and I should join this comic book club. I just started a comic book club over on Patreon where we are doing the adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix.
Oh, nice.
I just read the first 2 issues and did my video on that one. And that's a weird comic, man. It's really weird. I knew it was weird, but because I've never like read it in its entirety, I was like, this is even weirder than I thought it was going to be.
Was it as weird as this?
I don't know if anything's as weird as this. It's weird in a different way. It's weird more in like a 90s way. This is weird in a way I don't think I've encountered before. This is like a slice of life. You know what it kind of reminds me of, although I haven't read it. The Way of the House Husband.
Oh yeah.
But I haven't read it, so I can't say that for sure, but I'm just saying in terms of when I saw that, what it made me think, that's what this feels like to me.
You know, I've watched some of that. And now you say that, it does kind of have that vibe, because my mind went instantly to the Silver Age stories where Batman is a baby, which does happen on occasion. But then there's not really a person to raise him usually in those stories. And it's definitely not the Joker when that happens. Lane Kramer, thank you very much. Hey, Casually, I saw you did a video on White Rabbit from DC Comics. I know I poked you about it. Good video, though. I do like her first outfit. It was fun to talk about White Rabbit. Now I think I need to talk about the other White Rabbits, for there is more than one out there. There's the Marvel one, and then there are multiple DC ones. So
there's a lot of White Rabbits. Like, I was actually just getting caught up on Blood Hunt, and I was reading, Amazing Spider-Man is a weird. We should do a video on this at some point. But I was just reading the tie-in for Blood Hunt and Amazing Spider-Man, and I actually really liked it. I thought it was a really good issue.
I'm fairly behind.
It's got White Rabbit in it.
On my
that's why I'm doing these streams during the day where I'm just reading comics and doing like co-working streams. So I just read and hang out with people, and then we do like 20 minutes of work or reading and then 5-minute breaks. And I've been using that to catch up on Blood Hunt because I wanted to read that event, but it passed me by and I just wasn't keeping up, and there's so many comics. But now I'm going through and reading all of it in its entirety. And although ASM I've been very checked out of for a while, this one issue, I was like, this is actually really good, though. I really liked it. It's just a very interesting take on, vampires, and everyone's like a monster during Blood Hunt because it's like, well, they're all vampires. So it's like the robot thing. It's like, kill them all because they're not real people. But it breaks down like, but what about like when they are real people, and like how do heroes deal with this? And I'm just like, geez. What a great hurdle for Peter as well. I feel like Peter, who's a very human person a lot of the times.
Peter's having a lot of struggles from
He's having
what
so many struggles. He's having so many struggles. Mostly Paul. Um,
Paul will never leave us. And I don't get the same joy out of Paul that I get out of, say, Nathan, the Sorrow Lantern. But
oh,
that's
yeah.
just me.
I mean, yeah, so you're saying if you had to choose between one of those characters to keep, you're gonna choose Sorrow Lantern.
Oh, Sorrow Lantern all day, every day. He's got
Yeah.
like the costume, he's got the bumming you out powers, he's just got all these things going on.
I agree. I think we should keep Sorrow Lantern, and if we have to give one of them back, we should give Paul back. But even though I kind of want Paul to become a staple character, there's part of me that I don't know. I think I just like
You want to redeem him?
I mean, I don't know if we can redeem him, but I kind of like that he's not necessarily a bad guy. He's just a person we all hate. It's not
That's so
Paul's
sad.
fault, really. I know, but we just love to hate him. And I kind of love keeping him around. And no matter how good of a person you make him, we all just hate him all the time. I just think that's fun. I don't know why I think that's fun. Is that messed up? Chat, tell me. Is that messed up?
I
Oh,
think
boy.
you need characters like that are like fun to hate.
Yeah, universally hated. I think it's good. It brings us together in our love of someone else and our hatred for that character.
Oh, speaking of characters that some people hate, we'll bring it back to the Joker here, which I actually like that they fused the Heath Ledger makeup, but with his bleached skin. And so you get some of these interesting moments where he's around and he's makeupless.
Oh, I love these moments. And why, like, I just love how normal he looks. Like, he just looks so average when he doesn't have makeup on.
He does. And it kind of lends credence to the idea that he would need to do himself up to make himself look a bit more menacing.
And the fact that they play with that idea that, like, because it's manga, obviously it's in black and white. And they're just like at one point, like, Johnny's like, oh my God, like, I didn't even recognize you. And he's like, well, you know, I still have bleached skin and green hair. Just to point it out to us, the readers, because it's like, you can't see that because it's black and white. So, like, the idea that he had to point it out to Johnny, because maybe Johnny also is seeing everything in black and white in this manga.
Because one of the other conflicts here is that having the baby is messing with Joker's time management. He can't balance his criminal life with raising this baby. And he's not able to go out and commit crimes, which means he's also running out of money. Because they play with the Dark Knight Nolan thing again, where like he burns the money because he's like, I need to send a message. And so he burnt it and then he has no money and then he can't afford childcare. And it just becomes this ongoing thing.
Yeah. And I love that, like, flashback to him burning the money.
Yes.
Here in the chapter. And how, like, Johnny's like, hey, boss, like, you really gotta stop burning this money down, like, every time we take money. Like, his response is like, you do have a penchant for torching the proceeds in front of the help, Mr. Joker. What's that about? Like, tell me about that. And how the Joker, like, doesn't even really know why. He's like, I don't know. It's, like, represents something. And I don't know, man. Sometimes I gotta burn money. I don't want to be part of the establishment, but at the same time, I love to rob banks. I know, it's weird.
Because that comes up again when he has to fill out the form to try and apply to daycare and explain what his job is. And he just writes, like, bank. And he's trying to...
his schedule.
he's like, I transport money in and out of the bank.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that's hilarious. And then that guy's interviewing him at the interview, and he's just like, I don't really understand, like,
what your job
anything of what your job is. Like, why do you move the money, and then like what are all these things about? His schedule is wild. Like, there it is.
It's like
Bank.
Tuesday, the same.
Same as Tuesday. Yeah, so what does he do? Monday is his day off, which fair. Who doesn't love a Monday off? Prepare for tomorrow. And then on Tuesday, subway, armored car, bank, armored car, dinner/break, count the money, go home. Wednesday, same as Tuesday. Thursday, same as Tuesday. And then Friday, he's negotiating with an arms dealer, etc. He's got to take the helicopter there, and the meeting at the hideout, and then go home. And then Saturday's his brainstorming day. And I don't know. I guess I don't know what he does on Sundays. That's not on the schedule, but
That's a
probably
mystery.
day off. It's a mystery.
What I liked about this was that it also was a bit of a, it's not critique, but it's definitely poking fun at that level of bureaucracy you encounter if you're self-employed. I know that I've definitely, run into this where it's like, what do you do exactly?
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, the interesting thing about this manga is that I feel like it's actually pointing out like a lot of problems just with what it's like to be a homemaker and to raise kids. It's like
like
very
a single parent. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like very real stuff. And it's not like they approach it like, oh, but it's wacky because it's the Joker. I mean, the Joker is wacky, but a lot of these moments are just really real.
Yeah, like when he thinks that he's gonna get into the daycare because the worker sees the picture of his home office that has all the guns and stuff hung up on the wall. He's like, "You have weapons in your home? That definitely means that the baby shouldn't be there." And then he still gets rejected anyway. And I'm like, that feeling so real and so rough. And that's when he runs out to the street and he's like, "I got rejected for daycare, so Gotham must die."
And he shouts it so loud that we zoom out to like the whole earth.
Yeah, it becomes one of those, it's clearly an echo moment where he's yelling it so loud that's like echoing up into the space.
So good. Oh yeah, it's so true. And it's like it is kind of sad. Like, I don't know. I don't think I've ever felt like so connected to the Joker as I have in this story. I will say that about it as well. It's and just this idea of, we talk a lot when we talk about DC Comics, when we talk about Batman, this connection between Batman and the Joker and how they like kind of need each other and they kind of like love each other. How do you feel about that and the manifestation of that in this, where Joker is literally like raising Batman?
Well, I've always liked the idea that that's one-sided and that that's the Joker's perception. Because I think if you look at Batman's life and his circle and all the things he has going on, I think you can make a very strong argument for the idea that no, he doesn't actually need the Joker. But I think you can make the argument that the Joker does need him because he's centered so much of his existence around him in most depictions and around defeating him. So I feel like this actually makes a lot of sense the way they're presenting it, because there are several dark moments in here where he thinks about killing the baby. There are just some subtle, like, what if I let the baby drown in the bathtub? Or what if I just didn't roll the baby back over when he rolls onto his tummy for the first time? But then he's like, no, because he needs to grow up and become Batman. Because if you remember in the opening scene when he's falling into the vat, actually Batman's very odd in the opening scene, I have to say, because Batman just jumps in and he's like, so it's come to this, like, it's time for us to do the battle to the death. I'm like, whoa. This is chapter 1, like page 2.
It's been a long time coming, this battle to the death. Yeah. Yeah, it is weird what he
like,
says.
At this rate, it'll come down to kill or be killed between us. I'm like, whoa, he's literally just kicks his way onto the page.
I know.
The first things he says.
I mean, Batman doesn't even know. He says, I don't know what brought this on, but I don't want to kill you. I don't know either. We're also wondering, what brought this on? How are we down to kill or be killed in chapter 1?
I mean, the Joker in this so far just seems to be robbing money and burning it. I don't know what else he's doing.
But it is very Joker's response to just be like, I'm kind of into it. Like, kill me and let's see what happens. Like, just egging him on. And then it's just that the Joker almost falls in and panics and grabs Batman, and then Batman goes in. The one thing that I thought was confusing initially, where this is where, when I started this, I thought this was too weird for me. I was like, I don't know. I was like, Sasha may have taken it too far with this suggestion. But because I also thought the fact that he fell into the chemicals, and then I was like, oh, but like if those are the chemicals that made Joker, then like why did you become a baby? But then as it goes on, they explain that this is actually different chemicals. This is like anti-aging formula.
Yes, this was a company that was working on a miracle anti-aging, and it works. So they're going to make a lot of money.
It works. It also feels like a very like manga like thing of like they were working on this intense chemical that was going to make people young, and then they're like, oh, I guess that worked. Interesting. But also just as soon as we kind of got past the basics of the introduction, and then it actually gets more deeper into like the actual child rearing and like what that entails, and how the Joker's just, it's like he's never done this before, so he's just figuring it out, like first time parent slice of life, but like what if it was Joker and a baby Batman? It becomes much more grounded in reality than I expected, and much more sincere than I ever expected it would be.
It takes this concept, but then it takes it pretty seriously. It's like, let's actually examine the struggles and the scenarios that the Joker would go through in this. And he actually needs to name him later on, and he does end up naming the baby Bruce, which I thought was really funny.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that part's hilarious. The fact that he names him Bruce, the whole way that comes about, the whole part at the end where Joker sees on the news, all because also the way it even plays out, because Bat Baby sits on the remote.
Yes.
And that changes the channel to the news. The Joker wasn't watching the news. And then on the news, they're like, oh man, Bruce Wayne's been missing for 1 month. And, you know, he's had the baby for 1 month. And he's like, oh my gosh, Bruce Wayne has been missing for 1 month. And he was going to make it so that daycare can happen for everybody in Gotham. And they don't have to worry about those costs. And like, it's more accessible than ever. That's amazing. And he's just like excited and like has no idea. And then even like Johnny calls him up and he's like, did you see this on the news? Bruce Wayne's been missing for a month. What do you think about that? And Joker's like, yeah, I saw it. And he's like, and the daycare. And they're both just excited about the, like, no one has thought. And so almost in honor of Bruce Wayne, Joker's like, I'm going to name him Bruce. And you're like, how is no one... I love that it's just so weird, but it also makes so much sense. And so he ends up as Bruce anyways.
Mm-hmm. And he's happy about it too, because there are hints throughout here that the baby we might have an expanded baby Magneto lore situation where he knows that he's a baby, which would add a whole layer to this if he knows that he's a baby and he's trapped being raised by the Joker. So
I would love if it was just, we just found out that this whole time, like, Batman has been aware of all of this, and then we get to go into, like, his inner monologue as a baby. I think that would add a whole other layer to this book that I didn't know that I needed, but I'd probably really enjoy it.
So reading this first volume, did it make you want to continue? Or you're like, man, now I need volume 2. I need to know what happens. Or were you like, you know what, I'm good. This was enough, baby Batman.
I mean, I kind of love... when he named him Bruce and he was like, finally, he can like go to daycare, it makes me wonder, like, oh boy, what's going to happen there? Because now it's not just like Joker with this baby. It's going to be Joker with like parents and other babies, teachers. It's like, and you know, we already saw how difficult it was for him to explain to one man that's in charge of like who gets to go to the daycares, what he does and anything in his life. So I'm just imagining how that's gonna go.
Well, I've read the second volume because I was telling you earlier, like, this is one of my daughter's favorites. So we need to keep up with, she just thinks this is hilarious. She takes it out of my room sometimes and I just hear her at night laughing at this. So I'm like, good, she's reading, but also
she's giggling because she's like, what the heck?
I can say that volume 2 brings in Alfred. And so
wait a minute. How does Alfred come in? That's the thing that I'm the most excited about, because it's just like the way the characters are brought in is so like legitimate. Like,
the Alfred stuff is wild. Like, I have to say, it's really out there.
Yeah, I will say, I'm glad that we did volume 1, because I think if I just read like chapter 1, like if I just read that,
it's not enough.
I don't think
you need the whole flow of this, because honestly, chapter 1's not that eventful. The first few chapters take a while to get into it, and they even have a pretty decently lengthy recap, I find, of like, so this is what happened. He fell into a vat and now he's a baby and the Joker is raising him. I think I
Yeah.
agree with you that it's when Johnny shows up that it starts to feel like it's feeling a bit more confident in its premise, and its direction feels like it kind of cements as like, okay, like we're gonna go for a slice of life. He's having to navigate these parental concerns, but with Batman. So a baby Batman, or Bat Baby, as he's calling him for a bit.
Yeah, I personally feel that is when it becomes more cemented. I think it's also just because they're like clearly not afraid to be like, yeah, like there's other people in Gotham and we're gonna talk about them. We're not afraid to bring them into our weird Bat Baby story.
I laughed when the Joker was going on about Gotham has nurseries. And I was honestly like, yeah, Gotham has daycare. The way it is, it's pretty dangerous. And that's one of the things that Johnny brings up when they're looking at the daycare. He says, look at the security at this daycare. And I'm like, yeah, you need it. There are people like the Joker running around.
I know. And it's like, also the fact that not everyone can get into a daycare. I'm like, I wonder why. I wonder how many daycares Gotham has. Probably not a lot.
Matthew Foster, thank you very much. Joker, basically a single mom who works 2 jobs. Yes, and he needs to get back to his job of crime so that they have money, so that he can afford apartment things. Another moment I really liked is when Harley comes over. Firstly, she bursts through the window. So she sends like glass all over the floor, and then he makes her clean the glass up. He's like, you clean that glass up. There's a baby here and he's crawling now. So basically the Joker is much less fun when he's in parental mode. But she brings the baby a gift, and he hates it. She brings him like this like little cherry pie man doll. And he's upset because he's worried that it's going to make Batman develop the wrong type of personality. And I was like, that's just so interesting. Because again, this was playing with like parental concerns, but manifesting through the Joker, because you do see that. Where it's like, no, he can't watch that. Like, they can't look at that. Like, no.
That's my favorite. Just how the Joker, like, has certain things, and it's not even like, some things are legitimate like safety issues, like when he's putting all he's edge proofing everything so the baby won't like hurt himself. But then it's just like specific parental choices where he's like, no, I don't think my Bat Baby would never be into this.
My Bat Baby, all the babies have this. Basically he's saying is like, my baby's not like other babies.
My baby's not basic.
It's not gonna have this toy that all the other babies have.
Like, this isn't just any baby. Like, this baby's Batman, so this baby like has to have the best things, which is also really weird because it's like a villain and talking about his hero, but it's also just like, he's like, no, like the person that I go up against has to be like the cream of the crop. Has to be raised the best.
They're better than Cherry Pie Man.
We're better than Cherry Pie Man. I also love that Harley took that. Okay, because I was a little nervous, actually, because they've created such like a cute relationship for Joker and Harley here that, like you said, feels like much more healthy than some other versions of it that we've seen. And I was nervous when the Joker was like, oh, like, I don't want this for my baby, and was thinking all of that. And he was like, I don't think that we should have this, actually. And I like that Harley was just like, oh, okay, well, like, I'll take it. Like, that's fine.
She basically just leaves because he's like, oh, well, I mean, we're not going to do anything. Then
I guess I'll just go home. Like, no problem. See you later.
That's
Have
one of the fun things
raising a baby.
Like about these depictions is that you get to see them play with the different versions, because I find that sometimes certain versions can get cemented and you don't get to play around with them as much. And Joker and Harley can be like that. So it's fun to see somebody having fun with them, in that way.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that there can be a lot of good stuff between Joker and Harley. And
it depends on how you start the base. And I think you should be able to tweak the base, because, I mean, people tweak so many other origins and backstories and the like. So,
I mean, you have to think about, like, even when Harley came in, how the base got tweaked after her introduction of her basically being in a relationship where she's being mistreated. And that didn't happen like straight out of the gate, though. It wasn't like the first instance of her
it
Is that?
evolved into it. So
Mhm.
I always like seeing the different versions.
Yeah.
And it's also just fun seeing this different take on the Joker in general. Although I'm not sure how I feel about the art on Bruce, I have to say. Let me find Bruce. I'm not sure.
Bruce, not baby Bruce though,
No,
because baby
adult
Bruce we
Bruce.
love. Yeah. Yeah. Why does he look tired? Like,
Well, I mean, he is tired, but we don't need to see
but I
that.
mean, he looks. But I mean, this is him. Like, this is the picture or the footage or whatever they have of him, and he looks like that. Like, I was like, I feel like Bruce should be a little bit more shiny as a person. Yeah, I'm not sure about the He has like lines down the side of his face.
Well, most of the male characters have those in this. I think that's just
Yeah,
the way
maybe
that
that's
the
just
artist
the
draws
art.
them. Very
But
strong, like smile lines
let
on
me look at
everybody.
him. Let me just take it in this base.
Experience Bruce.
Yeah, I also thought that was weird. I thought it didn't look like him.
That was, well, they do that a couple of times around the mouth. Like here, when he's telling him not to suck on the pacifier because he could get a mouth like an octopus, and then he'll have to rebrand himself as Octoman. Yeah, I'm on the same page.
Yeah, what's up with this? What's happening? Someone help. Why is Batman like this? I mean, I guess, is that the point? Is that like what his mouth will look like? Is this a threat?
It looks like one of the movies versions. It kind of does look like how he looks when he's in the movies. So,
kind of, maybe a little bit like,
almost,
are you thinking Michael Keaton?
Yeah,
he's thinking Michael
here.
Keaton.
Yeah.
But like,
he's Keaton here.
He's definitely not Keaton here, though.
No,
this is not Keaton Bruce Wayne. I don't know who this is. Listen, what's happening?
He's been missing for a month, but they're still going to do all the daycare stuff, so it's fine.
I can't get it. My camera doesn't want to focus. It's like, I can't look at this Bruce Wayne.
Let me try.
Bad even for me.
No, it doesn't want to. It wants to
there it
the
is.
Joker. There you go. Look at you.
What do you guys think of this? Is this your Bruce Wayne? Who is this? Who is this supposed to be? An actor?
Hashtag not my bad.
And it's also like his face. Like he's like, which I guess is a Bruce face, but not Bruce Wayne. That's more of a Batman face, actually. This face. I feel like Bruce Wayne, if you have also, why is that the picture they're using? They probably have so many pictures of Bruce on like a red carpet or something, like at an event or like at a gala, being like, and like shaking someone's hand, or at least with like a closed smile. Like, he should be like this.
I do feel that
it's the Bruce face to me.
They get more into it, but when I was first reading this first volume, I was like, shouldn't people be a bit more concerned that, it's been a month? I mean, I guess maybe depending on the depiction, this could be normal for Bruce. He could be vanishing for periods.
That is what basically they say, right? Like, yeah. I think Johnny is like, I think it's Johnny that says he's probably on an island somewhere with like a model. Like, he's probably just off being Bruce Wayne, He's a rich guy.
The Joker calls him Captain Capitalism, but
Captain Capitalism.
Before he runs outside and leaves the baby, just dancing in joy to do the Joker stairs, because he's gonna get to have daycare. So we go through the whole arc in this. The daycare arc is what I would give the subtitle to this, but I can see why they didn't, because no one would understand why it was called that.
Yes, I want this Joker manga, the daycare arc. Give me that. But honestly, I wish they had called it that, because, like I said, the first few chapters, it was like, okay, he's changing a diaper, he can't sleep, I get it, it's a baby, I get it. And then they got into like, oh, like, Johnny's coming and he's saying, you got to get this kid into daycare so we can go do some crimes. Like, you can't be watching this kid while you're doing crimes. And then it became this, how hard it is to get into a daycare and like all the things you have to think about when you're putting a kid into daycare, to make sure that it's good and it's safe for this baby. How
to fill out your application to make sure that you look the best, and like how to present yourself as a parent and everything like that.
All the things that you need to consider. And then at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much preparation you do. It doesn't mean you're guaranteed to get into a daycare, so you might just get rejected anyways. And the idea as well of Joker being at home and having to raise him and like having to deal with like noise complaints. Like there's just so many things that feel so. I hope we run into other people in this apartment building. I want to know what they think about this.
Oh, that's so real. You know, I got a noise complaint once when I had my first baby. So I'm like, this is real. this
I also
is a
just
real
thought
issue.
I understand that that's a thing that you could really get, but I also just thought that's so rude of someone to make a noise complaint about a baby. Like, what are you supposed to do? It's a baby.
Mine was because I was walking back and forth to rock her to sleep, and they're like, "You're walking.
Oh.
Stop walking."
And you're like, well, would you like screaming baby or would you like me walking? Those are unfortunately the options.
It was so funny because she cornered me in the laundry of like the apartment one day about it, and I was so tired. I legit don't know what I said.
You're like, I remember recording me and then I blacked out. I said something.
I was like, I have no idea what happened because I was so sleep deprived at that point.
Yeah, you were Joker in this, where he thinks at one point
to the Joker in this one.
When the baby won't sleep and he's like,
I'll never.
Oh my gosh, I'll never sleep. I'm gonna die. This is the end of my life. I have this baby. Baby's gonna kill me. I also love how he talks about how Batman like has him cornered here more than he ever has.
Yes, he's like, you have me more on the ropes now than you ever have.
Which is also why I think it would be interesting if we got to see inside like baby Batman's mind and he is somewhat aware of this and he's like what if he's doing it on purpose?
That would be so funny.
It'd be so ridiculous.
Ramiro is asking, does Batman cry or is he such a Batman he don't even emote? He's a decently stoic baby, I'd say, outside of the regular baby cries and the like here's some of our Bat Baby with Harley.
I feel like, Bat Baby is I think Batman can be emotional though, but I would say that Bat Baby is only the most emotional when it's time to go to bed. And I think it's because, Batman, when it's nighttime, Batman knows I can't sleep. I gotta be.
I know.
I think he's probably Batman's crying at like the fact that injustice is happening everywhere. And even his Bat Baby, he's aware of it. That's what I think. It's tears of crying because he can't like uphold justice. That's where it's coming from.
Dragonberry Mead, thank you very much. This should be an ongoing series where different villains raise baby Batman. They all take turns. Oh, who do you think would be the best villain parent?
The best villain parent?
I mean, some of them
I don't
are
know why. Yeah, but I want to say Dr. Freeze. I don't know why. Or Mr. Freeze? No, Mr. Freeze or Dr. Freeze? Now I'm questioning myself. He is a doctor.
Yes.
But do we call him Dr. Freeze or just Mr. Freeze?
We call him Mr. Freeze because we're disrespectful. So.
We don't care about that doctorate. Get that out of here. I feel like Freeze would be a good parent, though.
Chemdog is saying Raish. I mean, I think Talia would disagree with that.
I mean, he would grow up to be very capable, but yeah. Yeah, I definitely think Talia
pitted
would.
in some destiny kind of thing, because depending upon which of Raish's children you are.
Or later in life, Raish might just try to steal Batman's body.
Might just steal your body.
Which he already did, even though he wasn't his son. But he literally uses his daughter to do that. Batman Beyond.
That episode's amazing. I love that episode, so it's so uncomfortable.
It's so weird. So I don't know. I don't think Raish is going to be the best parent, but...
Someone's saying the Riddler. I don't know. I feel like you'd have a very odd childhood with the Riddler.
Oh, what about Kite Man?
Well, I mean, Kite Man's had such a redemption
has been a parent.
Because of all the different depictions we have now of Kite Man. I feel like people have very positive emotions towards Kite Man now.
Yeah.
Like, if you had asked people 10 years ago, like, if there'd be so much content about Kite Man, I think they'd be really surprised.
I mean, I think people are still surprised today. I know people that... I just finished the Kite Man animated show a little while ago. I still have to do my review on that, actually. But I, by the end, quite enjoyed it. I was like, this is all right, but it's no Harley Quinn. And then by the end of it, though, I was like, this is pretty fun. I'm kind of excited for season 2 now. I'm kind of here for this. Because I just didn't feel like I had enough of an attachment to Kite Man. But by the end of it, they really, like, brought me into the fold. And, I mean, I do like Kite Man, but I don't know. Maybe I love Kite Man now. I'm not sure where I'm at. CAMEO's pretty cool.
Because of that show, I keep getting requests to do a baby doll retrospective. They're like, baby doll's back. Like, let's do some baby doll stuff. So
Baby doll is back in that show. This is true. So, someone that you probably didn't think you were gonna see, but there she is, baby doll.
Chemdog is saying Two-Face. No, Two-Face would be a trip. Every decision by coin flip. Are you getting dinner tonight? Let's flip that.
I think it would be more like, which dinner are you getting? Like garbage or like the best dinner ever, you know? Like
one would hope.
I hope.
Stephen Turner, thank you very much. Saying, speaking of Joker, y'all looking forward to Joker 2? I'm excited. We get Gaga music. It's cool. She's doing a Harley concept album separate from the soundtrack.
I agree. I am excited for Joker 2. I'm curious about Joker 2.
I'm curious. I'm like, I will be there. I'm definitely gonna be there. Like, we'll see.
The more I see about it, the more interested I become. I feel both ways, honestly. I see more about it and I'm like, ooh, that sounds super interesting. And then something else will be in that trailer or in that article and I'll be like, oh, but I don't know about this. Like, I don't know. How do you feel about the fact that they're also calling her Lee in it? Not Harley, just Lee. I kind of like that, personally.
Well, I know that they've already said that they're going for a very different take on them, and so I think it's fine. Like we were talking about earlier, I'm actually excited that people now feel that they can play with the different depictions. And like from what I've seen, it looks so far only from trailers that what they've done with her fits very well with the Joker universe as it exists as its own kind of thing. So I'm very curious about it because I really liked the first Joker. I know people are just like, oh, so you liked Taxi Driver / The King of Comedy, the remake with the Joker. I'm like, I did enjoy it. So I'm really interested to see what this one will be like. So
also, Lantern Zone has suggested Poison Ivy to raise Batman. I mean, I think if Batman was a plant, then it would be better. I don't know about raising a baby human.
Well,
I think
because remember, she kept those children safe during the Gotham earthquake. Like she made a place for them in the park for all the children to congregate. So
that's true. I think you could. It depends. It really depends on which Ivy, I guess, we're going with. But there's potential. There's potential. I like that Locke says Calendar Man is a dad. He'd never miss a Little League game. This is true. Never miss a birthday. Everything would be on that calendar. He would be the calendar. What about oh no, who am I thinking of? Oh no, this is maybe not. Never mind.
What were you thinking?
I was thinking of not Calendar Man, but who is one of the first villains that Batman
Hugo
ever
Strange?
had? No, not Hugo Strange. Oh my goodness, could you imagine? What would Hugo Strange be like?
I was like, what?
Horrifying, I think. Oh, you know what, though? I think Bane could maybe be a good dad. Has Bane ever been a dad?
Yeah, yes.
I don't know. He has? Has he? Who is his kid? He has a kid?
Were you thinking about Clock King? Memento Mortem is saying Clock King.
I don't think I was thinking about Clock King. Who am I thinking about? Okay, wait, I gotta figure it out. Hold on a second. I was gonna say Calendar Man was him, but then I'm like, no, that isn't Calendar Man, is it? Maybe it is Calendar Man, but like OG Calendar Man?
The one who actually wore calendars?
No, not the one that wore calendars. No, I'm thinking of, he is a guy who...
Oh, Ben Chen is saying calculator? Are you thinking about the calculator?
No, I don't think it's a calculator. Who am I thinking of? What's his name? He does do kind of like riddles, though.
Clue Master.
Clue Master?
That's Stephanie Brown's dad, and he's terrible. You don't want that.
We don't want him. We don't want him. I just think he is smart, but I just was also thinking the person I'm thinking of being smart, doesn't make you a good parent.
I was just laughing because I'm like, you can just literally start naming things, and if you're in the Silver Age, like it might be a person.
They've
like
probably all been villains. Yeah, they're probably all. What do you guys think about Catwoman as a mom? Do you think she'd be a good mom?
I think it's been shown in like Elseworlds and the like that she can be.
I definitely think she could be a good parental figure. I feel like we've seen her be a parental figure to a few people. She's done a good job. But I don't know. I guess Catwoman is also like a villain, like a light villain at this point.
But then you get to like the weird dynamic because then you're just remembering all the times that she's been a parent with Bruce. So it's just kind of like,
Yeah, so being a parent to Bruce, it's very very Benjamin Button vibes, kind of.
I was thinking of that. Have you ever seen Womb with Ava Green? Oh, okay. Well,
no, I have not, but I love Ava Green.
Womb is a very interesting sci-fi film where a woman's husband dies, and so she gives birth to like a clone version of him so she can raise him to be her husband again. And it is a movie that I watched. So
wait, and so Ava Green is the mom/wife?
Yep.
I need to watch this. This sounds very interesting. Yes, and it has
Matt Smith in it. Yes.
Is Matt Smith her husband?
Yes.
What? Who made this movie? What? Yeah, Catwoman has been a mom. Yes, Steven, this is a good point. Catwoman paternal to Holly. I agree. Mm-hmm. And depending on which story, which Earth we're talking about, better outcomes in some, well, I don't know, actually. I don't know. Does Holly ever end up okay? I think in one reality she is burned in a fire and dies. And in another reality, she betrays Catwoman. And it's actually with Bane helping him.
We have so many realities to choose from.
It's too many realities. I mean, in all realities, though, I think everyone has the potential to be a good parent, except for maybe a few people that are really, really bad.
No, like a Professor Pig or something? No, or like a Victor Zsasz?
Yeah, not Victor Zsasz. Victor Zsasz. I don't want to know what it would be like if Victor Zsasz was your dad. I don't think you're going to be okay. I don't know if you're going to make it. Not Joker. Yeah, I mean, Joker, I don't know. Though. I think Joker at least has some morals, you know?
This sells you on the concept, but because it's taking place so clearly inside of its own little universe, that because it's so clearly in its own style and doing its own thing, that this is the kind of thing that you would read either in the Silver Age or like as like a fanfic, and it's really fun. But I don't say fanfic as a pejorative like many people do it. Because like there are some fanfics that are very lovingly crafted.
Well done.
Yes.
I mean, there are writers that started out writing fanfic and became legitimate like comic book writers. So I also actually really don't like when people use fanfic in that term. Like I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Just because it's like fanfic doesn't mean it has to be a bad thing. I mean, I would prefer if people just said it's like bad fanfic, if that's what they mean. Because I'm like, because there's good fanfic and there's bad fanfic, and those are two very different camps.
They are. And sometimes I find people use it interchangeably when they mean tropey. Because like they'll be talking about a specific trope that might be one that occurs a decent amount in certain fandoms, depending upon like what it is, because they each have, you know, their own kind of thing. So
that's a good idea, actually. Steven says, I'll accept being adopted by Gotham City Sirens between the three of them. That actually probably would be really fun. The Gotham City Sirens and a baby. I would read that. I would read that.
Well, we need another Gotham City Sirens after the last one to
redeem it.
Yes, I wasn't gonna say that, but I was thinking it, so I'm glad you said it out loud.
Yeah, I feel like would you keep the team the same though, or would you change it up? Do you like the team?
I do like the team, but I feel like it might be fun to update the team because since we did the first run under Paul Dini, the status of the characters has shifted. And I think it would be good to reflect the fact that they're not really in the same positions that they were when the first series ran. Like a lot of them are more on either like an anti-heroine or they have a different kind of vibe, and they're certainly no longer confined as much to Gotham. So I think that but then I'm kind of like, who would you make them? Who would you replace them? Who would you replace them with is the kind of question at that point.
For Gotham City Sirens?
Maybe I can finally make Punchline happen.
I mean, I kind of liked what we did when we did, was it Future State where we had the Gotham City Sirens? And we
Yes.
had that character, and she was like a robot. What was her name? I
I
actually
was
miss her.
I
I
was
liked her.
revisiting some of Gotham, I mean some of Future State the other day for the White Rabbit video I did because she was in that and
Hmm.
it's not even listed like properly on the wiki and I'm like she was significantly in this like it was an arc.
It was a
It was
whole arc, and it's not properly categorized.
but by
Poor
the end of
Future State.
Future State like things kind of got kind of roughed in so I kind of understand why it's not there but there were some interesting parts of Future State.
Yeah, I agree. I also feel like there were some interesting parts. There's some things from Future State that really worked, and there were some other things from Future State that did not work at all, in my opinion.
Okay, here's a question if we get into the comic book chat portion of this. How do you feel about the fact that we're more pivoting towards Trinity away from Yara in terms of Wonder Girl status? James Cox, thank you very much. Hello to you as well.
Thanks, James. Hello. I feel I don't know because I really love Yara.
And I'm like, I feel that way too, but I'm like, Yara did have a series. I know I read it. I know that not.
I've heard good things. I've only read a little bit of it, but I want to read all of it. I want to go. That's on my list of things to go back and read it because I actually thought it was really promising. I don't know because it's hard because I really love Trinity. So
I just thought there were some interesting concepts with Yara that were unique.
I agree with that. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that Trinity is more of a safer choice in a way for Wonder Girl, whereas I feel like Yara is trying to like bring something new in to that superhero role, but also just in terms of the like Amazonian mythos, which I find very interesting.
I love that they were playing with the different folklores and stuff that you don't normally see in this kind of like Western media a lot. And I thought that aspect of it was really interesting and that there was a lot of potential there. And I know they're doing some of like throwback things with Trinity. Like I saw they're going to do the 3 Trinities, which is a throwback to the Impossible Tales when there was Wonder Tot and Wonder Girl and Wonder Woman and they were all the same person kind of by accident because at first they were all spliced together footage. So it's kind of interesting to see that being revisited and that's fun and fine. But I'm also kind of like, oh, but Yara.
I know. I think Yara's really cool. I just hope. I mean, here's my thing though. Like, don't we have room for all the Wonder Girls? Like, can't we just have all of them?
Maybe we could do a backup thing like they were doing in the Green Lantern because the backups for Trinity have all been they've all been Trinity in the Wonder Woman book. But I'm like, I did like how in the Green Lantern book they were playing with different things.
Have we ever had like a Wonder Girls book?
Like all the Girl Squad?
In like one book.
Well, they've done some like events where they were doing stuff together.
Yeah, I've seen them team up together, but I don't think they've ever had like a Wonder Girls series. Or if they have, then I don't know about it, and clearly I should read that. But I think that would be really cool because what I really love is I love how all of the Wonder Girls feel very different, but at the same time they all have this thing that like connects them, and they're all really cool. Like Cassie's really cool. I love Donna. Donna's probably my favorite Wonder Girl if I had to pick just one. But I also love Yara because I think Yara is so different and interesting. But then I also love Trinity because Trinity's just like adorable. Like she's just the cutest. Like how can you not like Trinity?
I find Trinity better now than how she was introduced. I personally found her introduction quite obnoxious. But what they've done for the trades I've noticed is that they put that introduction after the backups. And I'm like, that reordering really recontextualizes the introduction because then that introduction comes with her already having a relationship with the other 2 that you've seen. Whereas when that introduction first came out, that was her out the gate. And there was no like, oh, this is her relationship with the boys or anything. It just was like, I can do anything. And it was just kind of like,
yeah, that is obnoxious. It's obnoxious when you don't have the context of everything else. And I think that she is, I mean, and she is kind of obnoxious, but that's kind of her charm too. In a weird way.
But then you're kind of getting into a dynamic where you kind of have to balance that with Damien's obnoxiousness because Damien's also
he's also very obnoxious.
Like
yeah.
Stephen Turner, thank you very much. Yara Nubia, some of my fave designs for Wonder Woman characters.
I also love Nubia too. Nubia is great. Honestly, there's so much good just Amazon goodness that I don't know. Amazons, they just do something to me, man. They just awaken the Amazon within me. I don't know. But I just love. And it's weird because I always was very resistant, like initially of Wonder Woman. Like I've been a Batman fan for as long as I can remember. But Wonder Woman, I always thought Wonder Woman was, I don't know, too perfect woman. And then the more I've gotten into the Amazons and even just Wonder Woman herself, like I also love Diana. It's like there's so much depth and complexity, and the fact that we're pulling from myths. And the other thing too with Yara is I also really liked Yara in Future State, oddly.
Yeah.
I also liked her in Future State. Man, I kind of feel bad because I know Future State was going to be like the future. And I knew it wasn't going to be because I never trust DC when they say these things. But there are some things there that I would love to see that future kind of come to pass for some people. And I guess in a way they did kind of go down some of those paths. But oh well.
Call me critical. Thank you very much. I need some kind of team up with Damian, John, Yara. That dynamic has so much potential. Ooh. I actually didn't mind the John and Yara dynamic, which is what they were playing with a bit in Future State. Like you saw some of that where it was hinting like that they were going to be on the team and what that relationship was going to be like. But we're clearly moving in a different direction now. So we shall see where we end up.
Direction. Yeah, I also agree. I think that was a cool dynamic. And I would love to see what Damian would be like in the I think Yara would be straightening Damian out though, if we had that book. Yara would constantly be like, Damian, come on, man. She would be sassing him so hard. I love that Yara also just has this she's not obnoxious, but there's just an air about her where she's just not afraid to stand up to really anybody. She's fearless. And that is a thing that I just think is so cool about Yara. Like when she faces Wonder Woman in her series, when the Wonder Girls are basically fighting to help Wonder Woman with dealing with the American government and everything that's going on with that. And Yara is just like so confident. And it's just like, yeah, I'm going to shoot a bunch of arrows through you first. And it's just like, let me show you how it's done. Like, I'm younger. I have the skills. I know what I'm doing. You think you're the best because you're the wisest, but that doesn't mean you're the best. And it's not even like obnoxious, though. It's just, she's just so confident. And she's also so good.
Oh, I really liked her in her own series. Like, I thought that was really enjoyable and interesting series personally, but it's one of those ones that just kind of petered out. So
yeah, I guess it wasn't. I don't know. What do you think happened with that book? Do you think it was that the story wasn't there, or that people just weren't here? Because I feel like a lot of people are fans of Yara. So
I imagine that I don't think people read it, honestly. Like lots of times when I would talk about, like people didn't know about it or things like that.
I should have bought it. I'm one of the reasons it didn't continue. I literally was looking at it like I should maybe have this on my poll, but I was like, I can only pick so many things.
That's the thing. And like you're going to pick the tried and true. Like I totally get it. People are going to go with what they know. Vidya Nagonia, thank you very much. Greetings from Chile. What are your thoughts on Bruce X Barbara pairing? Do you feel the fans overreact to the topic? I am not a fan of the pairing in terms of the context, the way that they present it, usually. There are places where I think it has potential, but at its core concept based on the evolution that the characters have, which is usually Bruce as a friend of her father and a quasi-parental figure to her. And the fact that usually in many depictions she's with his son, I would say no. But I think the question of like, do fans overreact is an interesting question, honestly. I mean, fans are a passionate lot. I'm not sure, like, how do you feel about the phrasing of overreact?
Yes, I think fans always overreact. I think that's part of the passion of being a fan. And I think here's what I think about that. I think we all have to keep each other in check as fans, and that we're all going to have things we're going to overreact about, and that it's up to other people in the fandoms to not in a mean way, but in a loving way, say, hey, maybe just take a breath and it'll be okay. But I mean, I also don't like Batman and Bruce. Although I think there can be certain situations where it can
Well,
work.
I think
It depends on the context.
Like, for example, Caped Crusader was a universe.
We were like, they were like, we're not doing it. We promise you. And then they were, it was a little flirty. And then you and I were both like, but this is like, that you could do it. This is the one time you maybe could do that. And if we actually, like, now you've promised us, so I understand. You're probably not going to, but
I think it's also that the context that it has arisen in have been so egregious. Like, for me personally, I always like to approach these things with humor. Like, I always like to see the amusement in situations. Like, so for example, in The Killing Joke, where we have that infamous rooftop sex scene where she's like, I'll show you who's ready by sleeping with you. It just makes me laugh, you know? But I know that, like, that's not everybody's default reaction. Like, some people are genuinely very like, oh, I'm frustrated. I'm like, I get it, because it's not the depiction that they think it is. It's not the moment of empowerment that it's pitched as. But to me, because of that juxtaposition, I can find amusement in that. So
yeah, I mean, it's well, this is also just what I think about comics in general. I think there can be a lot of times where even historically, the way that certain things have been written and people were treated based on their gender, stuff like that, that like I just sometimes will laugh at that stuff, and then people will be like, that's like so, you know, you're not being very sensitive. Basically, sometimes people will call me like a bad feminist. But I'm like, oh, well, yeah, but I mean, like, it's just funny, like, especially when you put it in the context of now, and I look back at it and it's ridiculous. And I'm not laughing because I don't think that, like, you know, whatever, this thing can be awful too, but I don't know, it's goofy. It's goofy how some things were written. It's fun to revisit them.
I like it. I like examining it. I like that I can examine it, that it's there, and I think that that's a wonderful thing. I'm going to go soon through the tale of Roberta, the Girl Wonder. And what a time that comic is. It's a terrible time for Roberta, but we must find joy.
We find joy. I mean, the thing is all of this stuff is also, like, it is part of, even things I don't like, if it's written and it's there, it's like, it might not be part of the continuity per se. Like,
it's part of the history.
Killing Joke, but it's part of our history. Yeah, so it's like, it's whether or not I agree with it, it's still there. I mean,
and I like seeing how things shape things. Like, for example, with, again, Killing Joke animated, I love going back and looking at the behind the scenes and, like, the context of how that came about and why and what they were trying to do. Like, even if I personally don't think that it worked, I still think it's a fascinating journey to go on, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's fascinating to find out how people got to that point and how why they think, like, because these things don't just happen. That's the other thing. People think that people just made a choice to, like, make them mad, and I'm like, probably that's not what happened. Probably someone made this choice because they thought it's gonna be great. Like when we almost got Snowflake in Safe Space. You know, that came from a place of them wanting to do something that they thought was going to be great over at Marvel. And then they saw the reaction and they realized, like, oh, we completely miscalculated this. But I don't think that came from a place of them wanting to do something to antagonize everyone in the audience.
I like to imagine that most people aren't acting out of malice. I like to imagine that most people are genuinely trying to present something that is good and that they enjoy. Perhaps that's naive. I don't know, but that's the way I choose to look at things.
I feel the same way. We were also talking about this the other day, the wedding between Batman and Catwoman, and I was just talking about how Tom King has talked about what it was like when he was writing that and some of the stuff that happened that led to, you know, that wedding not happening. And people were asking me in chat, like, my opinions on Tom King, because I'm reading Wonder Woman. And I was saying, I really like Tom King as a writer. And then people were like, these are some problems that I have with Tom King. And I'm like, right, but, like, there's context there that we also have to take into accounts. And a lot of the times when people are writing in general or doing art for a book or any of these things, there's so many other things happening behind the scenes that we just don't know about until someone starts to talk about what that situation was like. Like, I mean, I am also a big believer that when ASM is, done and we've moved on to a new creative team, I think there's going to be a lot of tea that if people want to spill it, I think it's going to be fascinating, because I think there's a lot happening behind the scenes with that book that we're just not aware of. And, not to say, I mean, when you write something, you wrote it, but you're not the only one that's responsible for what happens in a story when you work for a company like Marvel or DC, because it's so big. It's so beyond just, the two names on the front of a book or whatever we get.
And it's like, I've done some writing pitches, and sometimes like your pitch will be returned with like, okay, but what if it was like this? Or like, so
something completely different.
So sometimes it's just, you end up having to pivot. It's just like, all right, we're pivoting. And sometimes depending on when it is, the pivot can be small or the pivot could be huge. And it's like when I was talking with Scott Snyder in that interview, he was talking about how there's sometimes lots of things happening behind the scenes in the company, or just, there's just stuff. And the way it can manifest, unfortunately, is like, I think you see this a lot on YouTube with communication, where it's just like, like sometimes things just happen, like nobody tells anybody, or like it's not properly communicated, or like that's happened so many times.
Yeah, it has. And it's also that, but that's the thing. And I mean, even when you just think about YouTube, like there's so much that if you're a viewer on YouTube and you're watching content even versus a content creator, there's so much there that people don't necessarily understand of like why a content creator will do a certain thing. But as someone that makes content, I could look at someone else's content and understand, even if I don't agree with what somebody's doing, why they have done what they've done. And there's so many layers to it but I think that's so interesting, because then it's like you're never really going to have the full picture until you get to hear like a little bit from everyone. So when everyone wants to talk about like, when I was making this book, here's what it was like for me. When we were working on editorial for this book, here's what we were given. I think that's so cool, because when you have all of those pieces, you have the full story of a book.
It's like James Bond is saying, Stan goes out of town, they kill Gwen Stacy.
Yes. Stan goes out of town. Well, I mean, famously, what Stan said, that whole idea of how he didn't even really realize what he was okaying. But so he also says, right, like there's going to be different people that are going to have different takes on that story. And somewhere between all of those stories of why Gwen died and all of that stuff, you find the truth, which is complex in most cases.
Call Me Critical, thank you very much. He's saying some fans want to do to Tom King what they did to Nick Spencer. What do you mean by that? Are we just talking about the discussion around the Hail Hydra? My favorite meme, well, one of my favorite memes is Hydra Cap, where they did all of the variations on it. Again, like I like to find the amusement in things. But again, that doesn't mean that I don't understand where the frustration is coming from, because I really do. But at the end of the day, I feel like fandom should be fun. And if you're not enjoying yourself, if it's something that's bringing you like genuine frustration and you're coming away with it feeling bad, I don't think that that's a good thing. I don't think things that you're supposed to be doing for fun should make you feel that way.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's why I like to try to get into everything, because it helps me to contextualize if there is something that I don't like why it came about, so I can at least like understand the perspective of a choice. But at the same time, I'm also the type of person that's like, well, at the end of the day, it's just, it's just comics. It's just fun. We're just here to tell stories about cool people. It's not, I think some people, this is the other thing when we talk about people overreacting. I think for some people, it's like life or death. And I'm like, it's going to be okay.
It's like, I understand that passion, because I
love these characters.
They mean a lot, or they can be tied to really important moments in your life, or you can have like really profound memories, with them or with other people. And I think that's really wonderful. I think it's always important in anything in life to try and, I guess the colloquial phrase the kids used to say was check yourself, but just to keep yourself, to keep perspective with yourself. And I guess just to keep tabs on yourself and like, how are you doing? you know, like
It's hard because I feel like with fandom, sometimes we lose a little bit of ourselves in a fandom and we like put our identity in a fandom, sometimes in a way that can be harmful to us as people because it's at the end of the day, like this is just a character. Like my love of Batman doesn't like dictate who I am, but I am who I am and I do love Batman. You know, like these, like it is a part of a small part of who I am, but I don't think of it like, you know, I mean, Madeline Pryor broke up with Havoc, and I don't like that. But at the end of the day, it's like it's gonna be okay. Like I can still love Madeline Pryor, and I can still love a lot of the stuff that we've had in the past with those two, and I can also dislike a lot of the stuff we've had in the past with those two. At the end of the day, it doesn't define who I am. I think sometimes we lose ourselves in that, and I often have to like think about if I didn't have my love of fandoms, like who would I be? And that is a scary thought for me. So I can only imagine what it could be like for other people too, that might even be more connected to these things than I am.
Dante Cook, thank you very much. Hi, ladies. I'm not reading Trinity out of a small rebellion.
Ooh.
I want to break from the trope of everyone having to become parents at some point, especially women. Let her 5 Wonder Girls be her legacy. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Interesting.
I actually liked Hunter, her son. The idea of Wonder Woman having a son, I thought was a fascinating dynamic. I don't think every character needs to be a parent, though. I think depending upon the character's trajectory, it suits some characters better than others. And I think that it's good to have a mix of both, you know, like some who are going to be, others who aren't. I do kind of feel like they are shoehorning, it's not the right word, but it does feel like they're trying to make a Trinity that is the next generation Trinity, like directly. And I am not sure how I feel about that. I mean, I guess it'll depend how it plays out. Like maybe it'll be awesome. It'll be like, yeah, this is exactly it. But it does kind of feel a bit like they are going for a direct lineage type thing of like people who are either like directly descendants or adopted from like the mains. So we'll see. I don't know. I like legacy characters. At the same time, it is a bit complicated when you keep adding new ones and the old ones are still around. And then you have a whole host of people.
The original legacies are just like out in the rain, like
Kyle.
looking in.
Well, Kyle's doing stuff. So, you know, in all fairness, Kyle Rayner's doing stuff.
I feel as well that it kind of... I really like Trinity, and so I'm here for that. But I also agree that I do feel Wonder Woman is a character that doesn't necessarily need to have kids to even have a legacy, first of all. And second of all, I also agree that I don't think, you know, every character needs to be a parent, because I think it's good to give people the diversity of like, some people want to have kids, some people don't want to have kids, just like in real life. And I think when you have, you know, the Trinity over at DC, not Trinity, the Trinity.
Yeah.
We have Batman who has a son. We have Superman who has a son. And then they're like, and Wonder Woman with her daughter. I'm like, I mean, we don't need to have that. But at the same time, the way it's written is where I get like roped into it. But I had that initial knee-jerk reaction as well, because I was just like, oh great, now Wonder Woman has to have a kid too. And I was like, can't we just let someone, like, why does Diana have to have a child? Because I also thought that. I was like, because she's a woman. But honestly, I don't really think that's the angle.
I didn't think that at all. I just thought like, oh, because they're going to do all 3. I was just like, like, they're going to do all 3. Because they tend not to, like, at least of late, like pregnancy in comics, they're kind of weird about it. So you'll see more dads usually than moms. So I actually kind of like when they do it, when they add a mom, because if you actually look at like the statistics and stuff, well, I mean, there are just more men in general, so it makes sense that there are more dads, but they play with that a bit more. And I think motherhood is a very interesting aspect that can be added to some characters depending upon how you do it. But at the same time, I think you could have an interesting story with Wonder Woman choosing not to have children, what that would mean, especially because she is presented to the world as this paragon of like womanhood in many stories and stuff. So I think you can do interesting things either way, just like how I think it's really interesting when she has the son, because what does that do for like being raised on the island and Themyscira and all of those things? So I'm like, there are lots of really interesting things you can do them. Like, it comes down to how you tell the story at the end of the day. And
yeah, I agree.
Stephen Gale, thank you very much. Thoughts on Trandy versus, I never know how to say it, Lita or Lita.
I say Lita, because, well, Hippolyta. So, yeah, but I don't know. I've heard it both ways. I think you can say it either way. I think.
I honestly haven't thought about her in a while, but I know that when Trandy first came up, people were like, "But what about that from our prior Earth 2 days when we had
that's
those
gone?"
legacy,
I think
those legacy characters. Well, I guess people kind of feel some kind of way because you are seeing a lot of the JSA stuff reappear in like its own kind of corner. So you're like,
well, I mean, if you were also collecting at that time, it's like, wow, like, what about this character that I loved back that you've just forgotten? How dare you? So I understand that perspective, but I also feel like that's just hasn't been relevant for a while, is what I would say.
They definitely pushed that aside harder than some of the other things. And who knows what else that's going to happen with that happens. That's the fate of some characters. That's why I love to do some of the old retrospectives, just to see like what characters were around and what happened to them. Like, where did they go? Like, what happened? Why didn't they work? You know, it's interesting.
I definitely think, Lita's an interesting character, and I don't know. I think it'd be cool to have Lita come back in some capacity. I don't know if you're saying versus, like, which one do we pick? Like, in a fight or like in a
That
who
is
do we
true.
prefer?
That is true. They kind of reworked it. They reworked the canon and the origin to make it work.
Yeah, well, I don't think that she was she wasn't Diana's daughter anymore, so they removed that.
They switched.
Yeah.
We did some reordering.
But then we still have a weird connection with Dream and her that is acknowledged because Dream is part of the Endless. Dream is like, well, technically, like, we are kind of linked through that because Dream exists like across, I guess, all timelines. So like all of them are kind of true for the Endless. So that's a whole thing that also gets acknowledged in the Sandman universe, which is, so I don't know. Sandman universe remembers. There you go.
Matthew Power, thank you very much. Thoughts on Batman's Walk of Fame star?
Yeah, that happened today. People were talking about that in chat.
I don't have strong feelings. I'm the wrong person to ask about like fame and Walk of Fame things because I'm just not big on pedestaling and those types of performative things. I think I guess fun would be the word I would use. What about you?
Yeah, I'm here for it. Let's give them all a star.
Where's Superman's?
Where's Superman's star? Where's Wonder Woman's star? What about Spider-Man? Will Spider-Man get a star? Can the X-Men get a star? Do they each get one? How many stars do they have for superhero comics? Because I personally think that's super cute. I heard that people were saying, because people in my chat were asking, like, oh, was it for like an actor? And it was like, no, it was just for Batman. And then apparently, like, some of the voice actors came out for it, and I mean,
Matthew was saying that Burt Ward showed up, so
it's cute. Yeah, I just feel like with a character, it's kind of fun because like everyone that's been involved in that, like, kind of gets like a little piece of that star, so it's kind of cute. I think it's cute. I think why not? They aren't free. You gotta pay. How much is a star?
I wanted to ask you, since I have you here, what are you reading? What are you reading currently?
What am I reading currently? I have my pile of things I've been reading next to me. But I mean, other than One Piece, which I think I've said to you, I've been reading a lot of One Piece manga, so I have been continuing with that. I also just bought more books because goodness knows I don't have enough, like novels to read. And I've been reading Wolverine Revenge. I have been reading... I read Dazzler issue #1. I really liked this. This was really good. Blood Hunt, Wonder Woman. I'm getting caught up on all my Wonder Woman right now, so I've been really going in on that because I've just been obsessed with it. I'm just really loving it, honestly. Obviously, Joker. Just read that. But yeah, a lot of Blood Hunt and a lot of Wonder Woman right now. And trying to keep up with some of my X-Men stuff. They just keep adding books.
I
They
feel like
gotta
every time I
stop.
turn around, it's like, surprise.
Every time I turn around, someone's messaging me to be like, Amanda, what do you think of this new book they added? I'm like, they need to stop. And then people are like, are you getting all these books? And I'm like, I can't get all of them. I have to pick. I can't. Well, there was another one that they just announced. So I know they're doing Psylocke, but there was another, Magic. So they're going to do
Oh,
Magic.
yes.
And people were like, well, you're going to collect Magic? Because I mean Magic. And I'm like, I love Magic. But I don't know if I can do Psylocke and Magic. Can I? And Phoenix and Dazzler. How many ladies getting books right now? Both too many and not enough at the same time, I feel.
Stephen Turner, thank you very much. Did you guys see the Storm previews a bit ago? Her sanctuary looks sick. She rich. The writer said she's going to have multiple super suits. She goes between her book. Love the bringing fashion. I always love when they switch up a costume. I'm not going to lie. I do like when there are multiple looks.
I haven't seen the Storm previews, but I'm going to look them up right now because now you got me curious. Storm previews. But yeah, so I'm reading, a lot of Marvel, a little bit of DC. What about you? What are you reading?
So I'm deep into the indies right now. I'm in really deep in indie stuff. I've caught up on a bunch because of the Global Comics app that I know I've been talking about a lot on my channel, but I've been reading so much on it. I caught up with Local Man. I just finished Behold the Behemoth by Tate Bromble. Like there's just so many interesting things I hadn't read before, like Plastic, Danielle Hilliard, like all kinds of things, especially because I was trying to find a bunch of horror comics. So, right. Rogue Planet I recently read by Cullen Bunn, just a whole bunch of those kind of things as I was trying to compile what I wanted for a list that I'm going to do, because I'm actually going to try and do some spooky things for Halloween, that spooky month.
Do you have any horror comics that you recommend? People were asking me about horror comics the other day, and I was like, not really reading any right now, but I was reading some, but I don't have anything. I'm going to be reading the, what's the one that Ghost Machine is doing?
Hyde Street.
Hyde Street is on my pull.
I can say I've read it, and I think you'll like it.
Yeah, so, I'm excited. Yeah. I'm excited. But then also Creepshow is going to be coming back, and normally Duck is reading Creepshow, but now because of the EC Comics, he's like, I think I'm going to stick with EC Comics. So I'm like, so do I get Creepshow? And he's like, do you need Creepshow? And I was like, I think I maybe need Creepshow, because I was reading his issues and I really liked it. But I don't know. I think we're entering a bit of a, like, I haven't been reading a lot, so I don't know if this is true. So correct me if I'm wrong, because you've been reading more horror comics than I think we're entering a bit of like a golden age for like horror comics right now. I just feel like there's so many good ones that I want to read.
There's a lot of interesting ones. There's a lot of interesting fantasy and sci-fi that's happening right now. Like I recently read The Moon is Following Us. Daniel Warren Johnson and Riley Rossmo. I really liked The Moon is Following Us. Like a lot of people are recommending it, and I can see why. I thought it was really cool, and it's setting up a really fun premise, I feel like. I also read The Tin Can Society, and I liked that as well. So it's like, I just feel like there's so much really interesting stuff happening right now on the indie front. Barbarella #1, I also got the chance to read, and I liked that. That was really fun. My interview with the creators is actually what's coming out tomorrow. So I'm really looking forward to sharing that with everybody. That's going to be a good time. Matthew Foster, thank you very much. They turned Jessica Drew's son into a Hydra assassin with mommy and abandonment issues. I will probably be pissed about it for a while. That's the struggle with the children. They inevitably at some point age them up.
What? What did they do to my little baby?
Look how they massacred my boy.
What? I have not been keeping up with Spider-Woman. I haven't really been keeping up since the end of the Carla Pacheco run. I'm sorry, what's happening? He's how did they do that? Is he old now?
You know, like the kids just kind of like they start creeping up in age. Then you turn around and Damian Wayne looks like he's about 16 somehow. You're like, whoa.
Yeah, but that was literally an infant. That was an infant. That was like just able to say like zappies and stuff. Like
that's soap opera rules. Oh my gosh, Ben Chan, not Aqua Baby. No aging up for him.
Oh my god.
That's dark. Oh, Black Manta made sure of that.
I love how dark it is, though. Yeah, that's true. No aging up for Aqua Baby. Baby forever. Yeah, I personally am. I'm looking at the previews for Storm now. Oh, these are pretty interesting. Can I put this in here? Will this go everywhere? I don't know if I can send links on your page. We'll see.
I think you can send it to me. I see that you put it.
I put it, so then you could copy it.
If you put it in the private, if you put it in the private chat, I think I can.
Private chat.
I think I can
copy it from there.
Yeah, then I.
But yeah, that's it. If you also want to check it out, but I'm looking at it right now. Ooh, yeah. Oh yeah, I did see because I remember seeing the outfits.
Oh,
I
great.
do like
now
the
I can
outfits.
Hold on, we can look at it together.
Actually, I feel like I did see this, but I don't think I read it. I think I just saw like, I don't know, probably just saw it on Reddit or something. Someone was sharing it.
Boop, 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 boop.
Dang, yo. Dang.
There we go. So now we can all look at it. There we go. Costumes.
Hey. Yeah, I personally also just feel like I have a lot more. It's interesting. It's a weird era for X-Men where I feel like the solo books are stronger than the team books in some ways. Except for Uncanny.
Which books are you liking the most?
I think it would be Uncanny, Exceptional. I don't know. Dazzler might be next now. I don't know. I really liked Dazzler. I was very impressed with Dazzler. But I think I'm going to say Uncanny, Exceptional. Yeah, and Dazzler. That's what I'm going to say.
I like this costume. I really do like this costume.
I also like this costume. Also, her hair. Like, dang.
Storm tends to have good costumes, though. So
she does. I mean, she's not usually in an outfit that people are hating on. Not usually. Anyways.
Yeah, I'm always hearing Lummox Beast is saying Energon Universe books are my favorite right now. A lot of people are really enjoying Energon.
I gotta catch up. I gotta catch up. I got all the Joe stuff. I just gotta read it. Mm-hmm. But I'm really excited to read Scarlet. Really excited to catch up on all of that. That's why I'm actually doing my reading week, because I'm so behind on so many things that I was like, I really just have way too many. I have like a full bin, and then I have like a stack that's like higher than this screen is. And I also have trades that I need to read, and so it's just too many things. I really like Wolverine Revenge too, actually. Have you read this yet?
Not yet. I've been catching up on Conan.
Oh, Conan's good right now.
I've really been enjoying Conan a lot. So
I've been peeking in here and there, and it's a good time. I really also want to catch up on my Vampirella stuff. I want to get back into Vampirella.
Dark Reflections is a good time because they always have lots of different Vampirella things going on. But Dark Reflections, the ones with her daughter, that one's really cool.
They also have when they were doing the Dracula comics. Who was doing that? It's like the Monster Universe. Who's doing the Monster Universe?
Oh, yes. And then I saw they were doing a Frankenstein one and stuff as well.
I want to catch up on all of that too. And I'm like, this is the problem though. I want to read everything. And then people are like, what are you reading? I'm like, well, I'm reading these things. And people are like, what about the other comics? And I'm like, they're on the list. One day. I wish I could just read instead of sleep. That would be really helpful.
Oh, I had a cool moment that I didn't get a chance to tell you. It was I've been posting. Remember how we were talking about posting shorts about like indie things? Yes. I started posting some indie shorts because I've been reading Local Man and I can't stop thinking about it. So I had these little moments in my brain. So I started posting about them. And there was an art error in issue 1 and I made a short about it. And the artist, Tony Fleece, saw it and responded and said he's going to fix it for future volumes.
Oh, my goodness. Response from the artist. The artist is like, oh, shoot. You caught me.
So I'm like, hold on to your volume 1s with there.
They're going to be valuable now. Now you've turned those into collector's items. We always love that.
But
That's really cool.
I'd recommend people reading Local Man. It's got a lot of homages to the 90s and stuff in it in a really fun way. So I've been catching up on a lot of rereading some 90s things in like preparation for like the relaunch of The Darkness in 2025 and stuff like that. So
Okay, so I'm going to get out my very long reading list. And I got to add Local Man to it. Let me just scroll down here to page 11.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, that's very long. But what was the horror comic that you were saying?
Oh, which one?
Yeah.
Oh,
that you were recommending.
I would recommend Wild's End personally. Like I liked Wild's End a lot.
And what was the other one you were talking about? That's not horror, but fantasy.
Oh, The Moon is Following Us.
The Moon is Following Us.
Which has, I think, some very cool art by Rossmo in it. I really like his style when it's paired with fantasy type things, and so there's some really nice pages in that.
See, this is like where I was a while ago because I feel like I was reading more indie stuff, and then I'm trying to play catch up with all my like big two stuff. And now you're making me want to read more indie stuff. I'm like, oh, the constant cycle. It's a constant balancing act of, big two versus indie. This is the other thing I'll say about, we were talking about writers earlier. We were talking about this idea of people making choices that we don't always like as fans, and where does that come from, and why do people do these things? And I will say, I think the best way to actually judge a creative is to read something by them that is like independent, and that'll give you a better sense for like what they're like, because they're not as limited by things.
I love the contrast. I like seeing both. I just think because it stretches different muscles to work on your own things versus having to work on somebody else's. So I think it's just
I feel like when you work on your own stuff, you're just more creatively free. So that's a better reflection of you as like a creative. But that being said, sometimes being creative is also knowing how to like work within the box. That is also a big part of creativity.
Sometimes the box can yield very good results.
It can. And some people work better
in the box than outside of it.
That's right. Yeah, so that is also something I guess to keep in mind. That's true. Some people are better when they have constraints, and some people are better when it's just like it's your own world.
Hi, Blake. Oh, she's saying that hey, I sat next to Band 13 on the plane on the route to SDCC last year.
You did. Hi, Blake. How's it going? We had such a fun chat. We were like, I forget. I think I was reading Wolverine or something, and then Blake was like, "Are you reading Wolverine?" And then we just started talking about comics, and I was like, "Oh, wait, I know who you are." That was so cool. How are you doing, by the way? Also, how is everything going? I feel like you have hopefully been having a good few years with everything that you've been working on. I've been following along a little bit just with what you've been doing with the company, and it looks pretty cool. So yeah,
you always have the best plane rides.
I have good plane rides. I talked to a lot of people this year for SDCC. I was sitting in front of Jim Zub, so but I mean I also know Jim, but then Duck was beside me reading Conan, and then Jim was talking to the person he was sitting next to about it. And then he's like, "Oh, could I actually borrow that to show Conan?" So that was pretty cool. And then also talking about Conan.
So
nice.
I'm excited for that. That's gonna be
I'm
fun.
excited for you. I mean, Conan is like, I don't know. It's like on the top of the world right now. I feel like everyone, if you like Conan, this is a good time to be reading it. Yeah. Yeah, Blake says awesome. Lots on the go. Yeah. The North Valley Grimoire trade print paperback from Massive is out in November.
Out soon. Ooh. And Barbarella is out next week. Yes. So.
Yes. I really want to actually check out Barbarella, so I'm glad that you were saying you liked it, because I've been curious about it.
They were kind enough to send me a review copy. So
yeah, personally, I just feel like Barbarella is such a cool character, so I was really excited to see that, she's coming back, got some stuff going on. Not enough love.
No, there's just so much fun things happening. I'm trying to front load to get prepared for, Absolute Week and all of those things. So
This is the other thing. It's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
are you ready? You're doing so much.
No, I'm not. Am I ready? I'm not ready. I'm not even close to being ready. I'm also trying to keep up with a bunch of shows right now and trying to keep up with everything that's happening in the gaming industry right now. There's so much happening over there as well, and it's just like, I'm definitely not ready. I don't think, but you know what? I'm never going to be ready for anything. So it's just got to come, and then I'll just read as much as I can and do what I can with the time I have. But I'm very excited. The problem with Absolute is that I want everything. And then I also want so many X-Men things, and so that's a problem.
Blake is asking who is going to New York Comic Con. Are you going?
I am not going to New York. I did apply to New York Comic Con, but unfortunately I did not get accepted this year. So maybe next year. And actually, I say that like, oh, so I can't go. I do know people that could get me into New York Comic Con. I do have some hookups that I could flex. But I just felt like it was too short notice. But I really want to go. We should go to New York Comic Con together sometime, Sasha. We should just do that.
Hopefully next year. Hopefully next year we'll be free and clear.
We should do it, and we should cosplay together.
Oh my gosh. Remember that year when we were going to do like Velma and Daphne and then I fell through? Like we should actually.
Yeah, we didn't end up doing it. I think I even ordered my stuff, and then I was like, do you have your stuff? And you were like, no. And I was like, I'll just cancel this. That's fine. I still have time. I could cancel it. But we should still do that. We should cosplay together as, I don't know. There's a million people we could be.
It's true. We have choices. So.
We have many choices. I really want to pull together for the next con that I go to, even though I say that I have a million cosplays. I also really want to do a Knuckles cosplay. So I've been getting into Sonic. Too many things. But I really want to do a Catwoman Caped Crusader cosplay.
Ooh, that would be nice.
Because I love it. Little classic Catwoman.
Mm-hmm. That would be a nice one. Dante Cook is asking, who is Barbarella? I keep seeing the issues on previews, but I know nothing about her. Okay, so Barbarella is actually an older comic that comes from the 1960s. It was originally a bande dessinée, and it's the adventures of Barbarella, who is this 1960s like empowered woman going through space. And she's having all of these sci-fi adventures. The original ones have like a lot of sex in it. In fact, when it came over to the States, it was considered pornographic. So it took a while to be accepted. It was released again through Humanoids. It's been collected and translated. So it is something that you can get. There was a film in 1968 with Jane Fonda. It's a famous cult film that I think is a lot of fun, and it's very iconic. Just the costume, just everything. For, the orgasm machine, just everything that's happening. And it's a lot, but it's a good time. And Dynamite got the license in 2017, and they've been launching like series for a little bit, and they're doing a new movie with Sydney Sweeney. So there's just a whole bunch of things that are happening for Barbarella.
Barbarella is just like a really fun, like, yeah, powerful. It's very like 60s sci-fi in the sense of being like kind of camp, kind of very extravagant. I love the style of Barbarella.
Yeah,
that's
like ChemDog and people are saying the group Duran Duran got their name from Barbarella. Yes, because lead singer was named Duran in the movie. So it's like, yeah, there's just a whole bunch of stuff that happened there. It's really cool. It's worth checking out.
Definitely worth checking out. Definitely very iconic and very stylized.
I had to censor something in the interview, not with us talking. I had to censor one of the images because I was pulling up some of her iconic costumes. I was going through like all of the stuff today, and I was like, oh, those are nipples. I was like, I've got to cover that for YouTube.
Gotta cover that. YouTube is not a big fan of the nipples.
They don't like the 1960s costuming.
They say this is too inappropriate. They're like, back in the 1960s, what were we doing? I don't know, being free. Nipples were out there. Skirts were like impossibly short. And that was just how it was. It was a cool time. I still really want to do actually a Star Trek cosplay. I want to do
the classic uniform?
Yeah, I want to do a TOS uniform. But the problem that I find is that I feel like a lot of the costumes that I see that are made, like people like modify them, and I'm like, no, I want it to be like legit. Like I want it to be.
What, you want it to be really too short?
I want it to be too short. That's the whole look. That's the whole look. It's iconic, and it looks so
like
good.
if you're watching the original series, you can see that they give them all matching colored underwear for the shots where they have to sit, and it's too short.
It's like, well, this is just part of how it was, but it's also like, I don't know. I just love that fashion. I feel like it looks so good, and as long as your underwear is on point, then it's like you don't really have much to worry about. We're big underwear. And no one was wearing, but I guess that's also the difference, right? Like in the 60s, people were wearing stuff like that. Like people weren't probably wearing a lot of like thongs or things like that, like we have today. So it would be racy because it'd be like your underwear, but at least your underwear was probably covering your butt.
I've always thought it'd be fun to do a Trill cosplay because I think it would be tedious, but it'd be fun to do all the markings up and down. I'm like, I say that, and then I'd be there for like hours doing it. So
I mean, yeah, someone was asking me the other day what like the hardest part, or actually on my story, that was like one of my Q&A questions. What's the hardest part of cosplay? And they were listing all of these things. And I was like, honestly, one of the hardest parts of cosplay is just getting ready. And the fact that you usually don't have pockets as a woman. There's not a lot of outfits that have pockets. You have to either like make your own pockets, or you just have to like have someone with you so they can carry all of your stuff. Because otherwise, you don't have pockets.
I was going to say, God, do you one of those 90s characters that has a pouch?
You have many pouches. Ideally, do someone that's wearing like just things of pouches.
Yeah, across.
Cable cosplays only. That's the only cosplay I'm going to do in the future. Just me as Cable with a million pouches.
People keep saying they're like, you're going to go as Punchline. I know it. And I'm like, ugh. I texted you the other day that I'd seen a full Punchline cosplay for sale.
You said you were tempted to get it. I was like, you should get it and do a Punchline cosplay.
Because it was all in one. It had all the things. I would have had to do nothing but my hair. So and the makeup.
I mean, I personally feel like a Punchline cosplay would be super fun. And I definitely support you doing any cosplays, but
all cosplay.
I support all cosplay. If people want to cosplay, if you're in this chat right now, if you're watching this video in the future and you're thinking, maybe one day I'll cosplay. Yes, do it. What are you waiting for? Just cosplay. It's so much fun. But I personally think Punchline would be a really fun character for you. I think it'd be really good. I'm trying to think. I mean, we could do something that's like Gotham City Sirens inspired. I don't know who I could be. I guess I could be a few different people, but I could be Ivy if we want an Ivy.
Ben Chan is saying, I do a Firebrand cosplay, but I can't find a shirt sheer enough. I know you need to get that see-through shirt.
It's the only way. It's the only way.
Actually, somebody commented on that video that was a type of undershirt that was used to protect another shirt that you were wearing, like back in the day. And so I'm like, that's interesting. I learned something today. So it's kind of like when people talk about the history of the trunks and all of that stuff. So lost fashion to the ages.
Lost fashion. Chemdog is saying, I do have my 4th Dr. Sonic screwdriver. Well, then you're already a step of the way there, Chemdog. You just need a few more things. And I personally want to do a Doctor Who, like I want to cosplay as all the Doctors, and I want to do a Doctor Who cosplay calendar that's just me as all the Doctors. That's a dream I have.
That'd be fun.
It'd be really fun. I would need a lot more items for that one, but I already have some things. I have like parts of Doctor cosplays where like I have like 30 to 60% of a cosplay for Doctor Who, and then I just need to like finish the rest of the items. So, but that's a few cosplays that I have where I'm like, if I just got like 2 more things, I could wear this as a cosplay. You would need extra months at this point. I would. It'd have to be more than even like a leap year calendar or something.
No, you gotta get that time turner, the Hermione time turner going, and then
that's true. We'll just start it again at the beginning of the year, and we'll just run it through until there's no more months. So it'll be 12 months, and like when you get those weird calendars, you know, that they're like, this is a 16-month calendar, and you're like, why?
I just saw some of those today, actually. I was out, and I was like, what? No.
Yeah. Who buys those? Do you guys buy those? Tell me if you're one of those people. Pressure. No, yeah, right? I'm like, I guess if you just don't want to have to worry about replacing it.
My dad does this horrific thing that I hate where he puts all the months up at the same time. And then he like crosses through the days. And I'm like, I hate that. It makes me feel like I have no time. And like every time I look at it, it stresses me out.
Time is running out. Yeah. Yeah, I can't do that. I also just don't like the idea of fully knowing what day it is. Like, I always know what day it is because, you know, I live with the date on my phone and it's everywhere and I'm on a computer, so I'm constantly looking at it and I'm planning out streams and videos, so I'm always thinking about the date. But I don't want to be reminded of what day it is. I don't want to have to think about it unless I have to think about it. That's what I feel. Because it is anxiety inducing when you're like, there's like 3 days left in this month. Even though you're like, I know I'm just going to flip it and there'll be more days on the other page, but I don't like that either.
Claude is saying he puts them all up at once to represent all of time existing simultaneously. It's deep.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I also feel like you could do one of those things where you just have one calendar. It's just 1 month. And you just like never fully fill it in. And then it can always be like any month could be any month. No, now I'm just thinking about how time. Sorry. I don't know. My brain's going into weird time places.
It is also almost midnight in all fairness.
That's why. That's why. My this is usually the part of the conversation, actually, I feel like, Sasha, where we get to weird topics that are not related to anything. And people will come in and say, wait a minute,
talking about?
I thought you guys talk about comics. And then we're like, well, right now we're talking about like the life of a moth or something and how moths are like some other thing that they remind us of. And we'll just go on weird tangents. And that's where my mind's going. It's going to like, what is time?
I told you at the beginning of this that I have this, which is this Vietnamese coffee, and it was a terrible mistake. I can feel it right now. I'm so like extra caffeinated and like buzzed. I'm like, why did I do that? Coming up to like 3 editing things.
When I came on and you were just like, don't worry. You were like, don't worry. It's all good. And then you're like, I had one of these. And I was like, oh no, I've been there. I've done that. I've done that actually before when I've been writing. And then it's like, all of a sudden the caffeine kicks in and I can just feel myself shift. And I'm like, like, it's like literally like Jim Carrey on the keyboard. Mothra, Mothman. There's lots of moths in comics. We could always bring it back to comics. That's the beautiful
Killer
thing.
Moth too. You know,
Killer Moth. Yeah.
Killer Moth. The Batgirl connection right there. Yeah, Kyoto. That's it exactly.
Oh my goodness.
I do have many things to edit though, so that's always good. I am pleased to be able to do a compilation list for scary comics like this month, and I enjoy doing those kind of like rec lists of things and trying to find different things that are out there to show people, because there is just so much, you know.
Yeah, I feel like those lists always make me nervous because then I'm always like, I hope I don't forget something. But I think we were talking about this last time we did a stream, actually, with that idea of when you have to recommend something and then you can't think of anything, and then all of a sudden you think of like 10 things, and then you can't stop thinking of things, and you're like, uh-oh, now what do I pick? Now I have like 40 things, and now I need to get this down to like 5 or something.
I've embraced that you can just make the list whatever number you want.
Yeah. Well, just whenever you feel like you're done, you're done. There's no... Exactly. You don't have to stop at any particular time. It's more for me when someone asks me for a recommendation for one thing, you know? And I'm like, oh, I can't think of anything. And then all of a sudden I think of 20 things. And then I'm just like listing 20 things. Like, that's cool. But like, which one? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Which one? I mean, they're all great.
Are you going to do a Dazzler review on your channel?
Yes, I am. I want to do a Dazzler review. I still want to talk about Exceptional X-Men because I was very surprised by that book. I want to do Uncanny. I'm going to probably follow along with Uncanny, so I'll probably do like issue by issue. But yeah, I definitely want to talk about Dazzler. And I still want to talk about Phoenix. The problem is...
reconciled the art thing? Or...
I don't know. I gotta think. I gotta think about it. It's my problem with my comic book videos is the way that I do those is different from the way that I do other videos. So when I do comics, I script. Yeah. So I sit down and I actually write. And for other things, I don't really often do that. Sometimes, but for the most part, I make notes and then I just go from my notes. And sometimes I just talk. Like my Agatha All Along episode 3 video today, I thought about making notes, and then I said, I know what I want to say, and I just said it. So it's hard because sitting down and writing, especially after spending so long sitting down and writing every day, it's the actual sitting down to write thing that I struggle with. But then once I'm at the keyboard, I can't stop writing. So, but hopefully I'll have those out next week. That would be great. And then once I'm caught up on Wonder Woman, I also want to do a video on that because I have a lot of thoughts. And I'm going to do a video on Wolverine Revenge. I don't know when I'm going to write all these videos, but soon, hopefully.
Veda Nagonia, thank you very much. What's your fave comic of the year so far? Mine is Where the Body Was by Brubaker and Phillips. The Tommy and Karina subplot hit very close to home. That's a hard question because I've been reading so much. I would say, favorite. I'd say right now, my favorite comic that I'm reading and keeping up with is probably Local Man, because I'm still thinking about it so much and the characters and their relationships. And I'm really enjoying all of the characters they're bringing forward. There's been some 90s ones, some golden age ones. There's just some really interesting stuff that's happening in there and the way the plots evolved and unfolded. So maybe for me right now, I'd say that one, but I'd say that's also subject to change because there's always so many comics and sometimes it depends on what kind of mood I'm in. What about you?
It's hard because next year, I'm going to keep a list. So when people ask me this question, I can just look at my list and say, what do I have at the top right now? So I've been keeping a list for everything else, movies, TV shows, video games, so I can do best of at the end of the year and worst of for people that are interested in that. But if I had to pick something off the top of my head in this moment, I'm really loving Wonder Woman, but it might end up being one, but I'm not caught up yet, so I can't say for sure. I would say Star Trek, though, has consistently been good. I felt this way last year about Star Trek. I still feel this way this year about Star Trek. I really like Star Trek because it's just able to bring together so many characters and allow them to interact that we'll never see probably in the same way on screen together. And that has been killer for me as a Star Trek fan. So Star Trek, I think, is up there. And then maybe Wonder Woman. I mean, I'd also say there's some X-Men stuff, but we just don't have a lot of it yet. So I don't know. Can I say? This is my other issue. How do we quantify? Do you have to have... Is there a certain number of issues we have to get to say it's, the best comic of the year?
I think it's just how you feel about it. Is it the best to you? You know?
Yeah, then I would say... Wonder Woman, Uncanny, and Star Trek are a few of my top picks right now.
Well, that feeds into what Elithid Lore is asking, which is what's your favorite ongoing book from each publisher?
Ooh. Well, there you go. That's Marvel, DC, and IDW. So there's those ones. What's your favorite comic from Image right now? Do you have a favorite comic from Image?
I'm trying to remember if Local Man is Image or not, because it is. Yeah, Local Man's from Image. So there we go.
There you go.
Because I did a Rex video where I mixed up one of the companies. It was Dark Horse for something. Yeah, that was Helen of Windorn that I liked. So, which is another one that I'm enjoying. I wouldn't say as much as, say, a Local Man or something, but I'm definitely also enjoying that one.
I was going to say that when it comes to Helen of Windorn, that is a comic that I've looked at it. I swear, every new issue that hits my shop, I'm like, ooh, I kind of want to get it. Just because I look at the cover and it sucks me in every time. So it's good to know that you're liking it. I might have to check that one out at some point.
The art's gorgeous.
It's really
it's just
pretty.
Absolutely gorgeous. And because there's a lot of fantasy realm stuff in it, so you get just these tapestries of the other realm, and so you can just stop and look at it. They're really nice.
Oh, AJ's asking, what about G.I. Joe comic books? Oh, I don't know. I need to catch up. Like I said, I gotta catch up. Can't pick yet until I'm caught up. But I've really been liking There's a book that just came back. Oh, what's it called? Image. Oh, Black Cloak. As soon as I started to type to try to find
it autofilled for you.
Came right back into my head. Black Cloak just came back, and I read the newest issue since it's returned, and that was like just a reminder of why I like that book so much. So yeah.
No, it's a good time. Like I said, it's a good problem to have. You know,
it is. It is. What other publishers are there? Are you reading anything from Dark Horse? I'm not reading anything from Dark Horse, I don't think, right now.
I think I am. The problem is the fact that now so much of it is compiled on the app and the like that I'm just
right. It's like which is from where?
Because you need to I can go to sort by publisher and stuff, but I just have like a library of things. I'm reading a decent amount from Boom as well.
I was reading quite a bit from Boom a few years ago, but I haven't been. Someone was asking me about Boom stuff the other day, and I was like, I don't think I've really read anything from Boom recently, but I do like Boom. Although, no, I won't say what I'm gonna say. Never mind.
Because I read Rare Flavors recently, the Rom V one, and that was Boom. And I really liked that one. I read it for the horror month, but it wasn't really a horror book. But I really ended up enjoying that. It was really interesting, and it played a lot with Hindu mythology, and I thought that was very, very interesting.
Interesting. Ooh, I just see that Dark Horse has a Carmilla book. Amy Chu and Sue Lee.
You can't add more to the list. It's 11 pages.
I know, but this looks really fun. It's a trade. I can just get the trade. That sounds easy. I'm adding it to the list. Carmilla. I love Carmilla, and I feel like you don't see a lot of people doing Carmilla adaptations, even though Carmilla is a gothic vampire book that came out before Dracula, but everyone thinks of Dracula as like the first one of those. Mm-hmm. But Carmilla is actually older, so.
Lumix is encouraging you. They're going, yes, you can do it.
Yes, you can do it. I know Claude is also like, Sully is super cool. Oh man, well, it's on the list. I'll don't worry, friends. I'll check it out. I don't know when. I don't know how many years it'll be before we get here to page 11. But yeah, I have a lot of stuff. I mean, granted, there is stuff that's crossed out on my list if it makes anyone feel better. Right? I don't erase things from the list. I just strike them out to say I've already read that. Which maybe I should remove them, because then it wouldn't sound so scary when I say to people, it's a very long list, and then I say 11 pages long. And super tiny print. No, I'm just kidding. The print is normal.
It's regular
size.
font.
Yeah, it's like 12 point. But yeah, I need to add. I'm going to add it right now in preparation for next year. I'm going to add right now top comics, and I'm even going to add top novels.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's me being like just very ambitious in the sense of me thinking I'm going to read enough novels that I'm going to have a top list for that. I don't know if I have enough time. Although, I don't know, audiobooks honestly could be a thing. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. Do you listen to audiobooks, Sasha?
I do. I do this weird thing too where, I don't know, maybe it's not weird, but if there's something and it has multiple versions, like there's a book, I'll read the book, I'll listen to the audiobook, and then if there's a comic, I'll read that too. I'll kind of just go through every single version of that. That's how I really came to love Rawhead Rex, which almost made my list of horror comics. But then I realized not only is it kind of hard to get a hold of, but I would have to censor the villain the entire time because his head kind of looks like a giant penis. And so I wasn't sure.
So you're like, I don't know if we can do that.
And I was like, I don't know if I want to commit to that. Like maybe next time, maybe I'll put a different Clive Barker thing from the Books of Blood on there and test the waters with that. So
you need to have like some sort of, I don't know, a place where you can show the nipples and Barbarella and have this villain whose head kind of looks like a giant penis. We need to have a space, a safe space where you can do that. Is it Patreon? Can you do that on Patreon, guys? I don't know. But because I feel like people would be here for these. And it's unfortunate that, YouTube is I'm not as big a fan of that. Although I understand. They have to consider, they have a lot of things to consider, which is why they make these choices. Even though I don't always agree with them, I understand why they do them.
Well, it's like the recent like thing with the 3 video thing where if you put out more than 3, it stops your notifications. I learned that the hard way.
Oh, no, you didn't know. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have told you. I knew about that. I knew about that. That's to stop the spamming. Yeah.
It is. It's because of all the AI stuff. And it's like you could just post like how many videos if you just have the Autobot do the thing for you?
It also punishes you apparently because they take whatever extra videos you did and they like roll it over. But the one thing I'll say is that I think live streams don't count because lives, they really want to push lives. So I think lives are the only place where like if we wanted to do like 12 lives in a day, they won't care. They don't even count towards your 3, I don't think. But even then, I'm always nervous when if I do 2 lives in a day and like a video and like a short or something, I'm like, oh, I hope I don't get punished. Because what they do apparently is they treat it as though like whatever your 4th video was, it wouldn't get pushed. And then they would treat that as like one of your videos for the next day. So then if you did like 3 the next day, then you'd still have a backlog.
Yes, it still counts. You have to actually, because as soon as I realized what had happened, I was like, oh no, I tripped the system. And I was like, oh, you have to wait 24 hours.
The alarms have gone off. The silent alarm that doesn't tell you there's an alarm.
You have to wait the full 24 hours. And I was like, oh, it's torture.
That is torture. That is torture. Yeah. That sucks. Yeah. It sucks that they did that and they didn't really tell us, but I understand because they didn't want to they didn't want to tip off the people that are abusing the system. But I'm like, I know, but maybe if you told them, then they just would maybe not do it anymore. Wouldn't that fix the problem? You just don't want them to do it. I don't know. Yeah, it's YouTube is a funny place. There are many rules. Many of them we don't know.
You always have to be on your toes. You know, it's always evolving, always changing.
It's always changing, and sometimes those changes are being communicated, and sometimes those changes are kept super secret. And the way we find out is through all of us talking to each other and being like, did you see this thing? And it's like, oh yeah, that's a thing. The thing they're doing now. But, you know, it is also still, I would say, having been on YouTube now, doing my own stuff for over a year, I think it is my favorite platform, though. Although I love Twitch. Hi, Twitch. I love you. You're also great. I love Twitch and I love YouTube. And I think they are the ones that reign supreme for me because I feel like they actually... I mean, YouTube is cool because I feel like when you do stuff on YouTube, it's like you get rewarded for
YouTube,
making
that's the one
content.
thing about it. It rewards you for using the features it wants you to use.
Yeah.
And so if it's like, we want you to make shorts and you make a short, it's like, thank you for making a short.
Yeah, they're like, cool, we're going to like show you to people because you made a short and we appreciate that. As opposed to other platforms where they'll give you all these new tools and you use them and you work really hard and then they're like, cool, we're going to actually show your stuff to like 10% of your audience. And you're like, why? Show it to all my audience. And then people are like, I don't know where you went. I can't find you anymore. Like, I never see you. And I'm like, I don't know. The platform doesn't want to promote me. I don't know what's happening. But YouTube, I feel like, you know, they got our backs for the most part.
I admittedly have a soft spot for YouTube because I've been on YouTube since high school in some capacity.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I definitely have a very soft spot for this platform. So
honestly, people will also ask me how old my channel is. And this channel, I actually started it in... This channel, meaning my channel, not Sasha's channel, if you're watching on her channel, just to be clear. This one.
Yes.
I started, I think, in like 2006 or something. It's like really old because it's the channel I started when I was in high school. Oh boy. What a time. What a time to be alive.
My first ever channel was making music videos, like AMVs. And
no
stuff like
way.
that. Like
Stop.
fan videos. Yeah.
Fan videos.
Yeah.
Do you still have them? Are they privated?
No, I left it up. I let it live, you know, and I actually got my first job ever because of those videos. So I'm like, no, they get to live. So
Oh, okay. So it's not this channel then, obviously.
No, it's a different one. Like,
no one will know the secrets.
I'm like, oh, it's not a secret. Anybody can watch them. They're cringe, but I have a fondness for them. So.
That's like, I have some videos that are on this channel that I don't have up that are like videos I made like with my friends. We like wrote scripts and like made movies, and that was a whole thing that we did. But I'm not deleting them. I'm like, I'll still keep those videos because I think they're a part of my life as a content creator. It's where I started. But I'll never make them public. They just sit there. They just sit there in the background for me alone. But
How
that's
many
really
Linkin
cool.
Park songs? None. No Linkin Park songs. I know that was the thing back then. In fact, sadly some of them got removed by YouTube. I didn't remove them, but I did make some Dragon Ball Z music videos, and they were to Mr. Craft and stuff, and they weren't to Linkin Park. And I remember at the time feeling cool because I wasn't using Linkin Park. I was like, my Dragon Ball Z videos have dance and techno music.
Oh my
in the
gosh.
background.
James asking, how about your live journal? Did you have a live journal?
I did have a live journal. I just used it to make little, I remember making little DPs and like icons and stuff. I used to make them for Garrick and Bashir. So.
I love it. Oh my goodness, live journal's a throwback. What a good time.
Did you have one?
Yes, I did have a live journal. I think I used mine as an actual journal, so no one looked that up. I don't even know where it is. My favorite is when people in my community find stuff from when I wrote online and stuff, and they'll be like, I found this. Like someone found I forget what it was, but it was a site where I had like fan fiction up, and then some people were asking me when I was gonna write more chapters. It was like a Harry Potter fan fiction. About Draco Malfoy. So now you know my secrets. And they were like, are you gonna write new chapters? And I was like, I don't think so. It's been a long time since I wrote that. That's really old. But also, I love that you loved it to the point that you asked me if I was gonna write new chapters. That's really cute. I mean, I've thought about going back though and writing some fan fiction because I do love creative writing. I do love to write. But it's just finding the time to sit down and do creative writing is a whole other thing, because it's different than when you write about like a book and you're writing about your thoughts on a book. It's and I'm so bad at finishing stories, guys. It's like me with video games. I'm much better at starting than I am at finishing a book. It's hard.
No, my fanfics are still up there somewhere.
Somewhere.
Yeah, I think I was on fanfiction.net. Yeah, I was on fanfiction.
Oh, okay.
So like old school. Like
old school.
Yeah.
Fanfiction.net was like, I loved going on to fanfiction.net back in the day. I read so much fanfiction. I'm not ashamed to say it. I love reading fanfiction. I still do. Sometimes.
No, I still dip my toe in to see what's up, you know?
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Some people are really good at writing. And I remember there were writers that I would like wait for like new chapters to drop in their
Yeah, you have like the alert on and everything. It's like, oh my God, they posted.
We got a new chapter. I'm so excited. So it would be cool to go back and do a little bit of fan fiction writing just for fun. Although I don't know if I'd write under my name or if I would like use an alias. I don't know.
I think it's fun to use the alias, like not because I'm hiding or anything, but just like the whole username thing. You know, especially now that I'm better at it than like the high school days of usernames. You know, the first username's always like, oh, you look back and you're like, oh wow, I thought this was real cool back in the day.
You're telling me I live that life.
You're bad though.
It's not bad, but people are always like, what does it mean? I'm like, what does it mean? That's a good question.
Mine was terrible. Mine I thought was so slick. Mine was Allure 75.
Ooh. Allure 75?
Yeah.
I mean, it does sound slick though. Like I could understand where you were like, this is cool. This is a cool name. But it's maybe not as unique. Is that the thing that you don't like about it?
No, it's not that. I'm just like, it doesn't like
what does it mean?
Like, what is that?
What is that? Yeah, I mean, look, what is that is the main question we ask ourselves about usernames we make, especially the younger we are. What is that?
Like, I can see the allure. It's like, stop the puns.
I can see the allure. Yeah, I mean, with mine, it was like vampires, obviously, and I still like vampires, so it's still true. But the other thing is, people always be like, Amanda, like, you need to make more vampire content. Like, come on, your name's Vamp. Like, you're Vamp. Where's the vampires? And I'm like, it's a good question. Don't worry, guys. I'm gonna review Interview with a Vampire at some point, and it's gonna be epic because I am a massive Vampire Chronicles fan. So when I get there, don't worry. I'm ready to go in. I've read those books multiple times, back to front, way too much. I'm rereading them again right now. I read them constantly on a loop, so I'm excited.
I'm reading Ambergris, which is taking a long time because I have no time. But by
you're
Jeff Vandermeer.
You're reading Ambergris?
Yeah, it's like it's a book series.
Oh, what's it about? I've never heard of it.
I am too early in to tell. But I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, this is the... Do you rotate through a lot of stuff? Because that's how I read. And then people think that that's insanely confusing. Like, I'll have, like, an audio book, and then I'll have comics, and then I usually have, like, a rotation, though. So I'll be like, this time of day is the time I read, like, a chapter of a book. This time of day is the manga time. And then when I'm brushing my teeth, I'm listening to audiobooks or podcasts. And I'll, like, constantly have everything going at once. So I get nothing done.
I tend to hyperfixate on, like, a thing.
Oh, that's probably better, actually. Like, well, I mean...
And so then, like, you'll see that. I think it'll be manifest in the content. Where it's like Owlman. You mean all the Owlman? So,
yeah.
Like, every Owlman? Like, what if we did that? Until I'm just like, now this other thing. And so...
I'm actually trying to do that more because I find when I let myself just go with the thing that I like the best, then I get more done. Because as opposed to me, people asking me, oh, when are you going to read this thing? And I'm like, oh, I'm reading it. It's just, you know, very slowly. Or when I'm watching a show and I'm like, just very slowly because it's in the rotation. It's nice because then I just watch it and then it's done. Or I read it and it's done. And then I don't have to think about it. Except for, you know, books that I've read a million times. Those things I can read at any pace. Doesn't matter. I already know where it's going. It's not like I'm rushing to get somewhere.
I didn't get to heroic Owlman though. The Roy Raymond Jr. one from The Outsiders. So
slipped through your grasp.
Well, there's one more. There's one more that will I want to examine the Owlman from the Crisis on Two Earths film. So that will be a good time.
I need to get into... Have you watched Watchmen yet?
Oh, what, like the recreation one that they did?
The new Watchmen, yeah.
No, because I couldn't
watch it.
I never got past the but why though phase.
I mean,
the concept.
Yeah, I don't know, but
I'll get to it eventually.
I don't know what the answer to that is, but that's also, I think, why I want to watch it, because I just want to see if it's giving me anything that makes me go,
that's different.
I get it. Yeah, I just want to see if they'll have that moment or not.
I appreciate that, Ballcaster. Who watches The Watchmen? Not me, not yet.
Nor I. Maybe one day we'll be the people that watch The Watchmen.
Oh, gosh. Well, I have to say, it's after midnight, and we should probably get going, because we have definitely
sleep or do other work. What did we talk about? We talked about our usernames and what they mean. Allure75, Vamp. We talked about how we could read books and how we struggle to read books. And we also talked about who watches The Watchmen. So yeah, that seems like we've summed it up. We talked about the baby. We talked
did
about
talk
the
about the Bat Baby for a decent amount of time. So
yes,
know, it's not that we did not discuss it. We did.
I hope we get to discuss more of it, because I quite enjoyed it. And I love that there's multiple volumes. How many volumes are there?
We're up to 3. So I think that might be it. I'm not sure. But I know that Superman Meshi, just like, that one just keeps Superman eating food in Japan. It just...
I mean, that could go on forever, personally, I think. That sounds like a great topic for a manga.
It's pretty fun. Although we should wrap, And is anything you want to plug before you go or anything like that? What are you doing?
Me, what am I doing? I'll put my schedule in the chat. I don't know. Can I just select? Yeah, I think this will throw it up to my chats. I don't think it'll go on yours.
People can see you before we head out.
I think Alvin was like, I have a lot of things I'd like to plug. Mama, I have many things I would like to plug. Put me on the mic.
As he knocks it over and everything.
But yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to be doing a reading comics co-working stream at 3 p.m. EST. So come back in and we will continue to read more Wonder Woman and chat about whatever on breaks and hang out and get some work done or get some reading done with me if you would like tomorrow and be productive. And then I'll be back on Saturday. On Saturday, what am I going to do? On Saturday, I'm going to try to get up and be on at 5:30 in the morning so that I can react to the Sega broadcast as part of Tokyo Game Show. And then we'll be doing another co-work stream. Oh no, we're going to do community games. So if you guys want to play video games with me, come in on Saturday at 3 and we're going to do a community game stream. But yeah, and I'll be on Sunday as well, streaming. And then I have some new videos coming up. I'm going to have one on Dead Boy Detectives and the cancellation of Dead Boy Detectives a little bit. And we're also going to be doing the reaction to Last of Us Season 2. The trailer just dropped today, so I reacted to that. So that'll be up too soon. How about you? What are you up to?
I'll have that interview going up, and then we'll see whatever ends up getting edited next, which I'm not entirely sure what's going to finish next, so we shall see.
Where the wind blows.
Yeah, wherever the whims take us.
Yeah. So. What about Alvin? Does Alvin have anything he wants to plug?
He's like, yes.
Catch me here on stream, says Alvin. Sometimes I guest star. So cute.
Well, thanks everybody for coming and watching across the various channels and all of that good stuff. And we'll be back with lots of stuff, and we'll definitely stream together again soon in the near future. So
that will definitely happen. I'm trying to get Sasha to come play Baldur's Gate with me, so maybe that will happen at some point.
Oh my goodness.
If Alvin allows it to happen, of course.
Oh, well, I think we have to end at the same time. So
yes. We'll do that.
Say goodbye to everybody.
Goodbye. What do I push to end
Bye,
this?
everyone.
Stay nerdy, everyone. I don't know.